What are y'all doing? I'll start by saying I apologize for the background noise, but hopefully I'm close enough to the mic. It's actually a little warm in my office here, so I have the window unit on. But hopefully y'all can hear me over it. And we'll let a couple folks get in here, and then we'll get going. Because I always, even though this is about making the pattern, I want everybody, since this could be their first time watching, they haven't seen all my other videos, I want to show the entire process from start to finish. So some might be interested in learning from the beginning. Some may not. Some people may just want something to watch in case I make a fool out of myself. So there's that. So we got 6 folks watching. Let me know if y'all can't hear me over that window unit, and if that's the case, I'll turn it off. But I need some air in here. But the very first thing we do. Hello, Mr. Dave Gatton and Portal Woodworks. Appreciate you. And Josh Grover came in earlier. Scroll on, baby. First thing we do is we get a sheet of glass. The reason why, and again, I'm repeating things I said yesterday because not everybody watches every video. There's scratches and dents and all kinds of crap on my desktop here, my literal desktop, and we don't want any texture when we're using the pen tracing a picture. Appreciate you folks being here. Hello, Stanley Langford. I appreciate that. So we have a clean sheet of paper. Now, when I'm tracing patterns onto the wood, I use used carbon paper. This was used yesterday, so I can use this for tracing onto wood, because it doesn't matter if we have little breaks in the line, but when we're doing a pattern, we want it very crisp and clean as much as possible. So the used ones go into a pile to be used for tracing stuff onto wood, and we use a brand new one for tracing a pattern or making a pattern on paper, and that would be this. I get my carbon paper from Amazon, a company called CRE, which stands for Cedar Rock Enterprises or something to that effect, is where I get mine because it's the darkest I've found. Josh Grover says, went back to some of your old pattern making videos trying to get tips to make a car pattern for customers. Well, I have a downloadable video on Wooden Vision. That was a very good segue too. One of my downloadable instructional how-to pattern videos is about vehicles. So it may be worth your while to go check that out. And what I'm doing right now is I'm taping this down. Now some of this might be, no-brainer to some people, but I don't want to assume who knows what and stuff like that. Now this can either be called carbon paper or transfer paper. I get it from Amazon.com. It is, I don't remember what it's called, but it's the darkest I found, and I like the dark lines. And so look for, I want to call it carbon paper, but the company that does it, I believe, is a sewing company. And it either goes by CRE or Cedar Rock Enterprises. And you're welcome, Josh. Okay, so now there's a little bit of a crease there, but we can work with that. So we're doing this now. The person this is a custom pattern, so unfortunately, unless something is worked out with the person who wanted it, I cannot sell the pattern to anybody, because when I do custom patterns, I start at $50, and it's not fair for me to sell the pattern to a bunch of other people for $7 or $10 when the person originally paid $50 plus, and I believe this one was $75. But we are, just like yesterday, you're going to find out, because there may be a myth going around, that I'm just whipping out patterns left and right, which I do, but based on yesterday and what you'll see today, you'll see that I don't always get it right the first time. It takes a lot of tweaking, but especially in a state like this, on camera it may look relatively clear, but if you zoom in, there's almost no detail to work with. So there's going to be a lot of inventing and cleaning up as I go. So this is to teach the process and show the process of how I make patterns, but they don't always, they don't always come out perfect. So it takes me a while sometimes. So if you're watching these expecting me to just whip out perfect quality patterns, it's not going to happen. Every now and then we might get lucky. Tomorrow's live stream probably will have a better result because it's a very clear picture. It's of a dog, and I've already gotten permission to use it. Don't know yet whether or not that pattern will be available for sale. I'm still waiting for permission on that. This one will not be unless I work something out with the person who ordered it, which is Bill, Aussie Man. And I'm holding this in place with something somewhat heavy so that I can tape it in place. We don't want this to move once we start tracing. That's just something heavy. And for what it's worth, I do apologize for how, I don't know what word I want to use, chaotic yesterday's pattern live stream was. It got a little off topic, and I don't know how else to word it. But we're going to try to stay closer to topic, or at least have people on the panel that are, somewhat known in the community, if not just flat out known. And that's not a dig on who was here yesterday, but, I should have done my catching up with an old friend. I should have done that off of public airways. So I imagine it ran a lot of people off, and I apologize for that. Okay. If anybody has any questions during any of this, don't be afraid to ask. It's okay to, have questions. It doesn't mean you're stupid. Howdy, Mr. Lawrence Aldridge. I'm loosely putting the tape on to make sure there's no ripples in the paper, and then I'm going to... This is for Aussie Man Bill, by the way. He's usually in the chat. Hopefully he'll be able to join us at some point. I don't know what the time is where he's at. I think it's in the morning the next day, because Australia's backwards like that. But we love him. Yeah, I know. I just, Lawrence Aldridge saying we all get off track at sometimes at your show, but I like to have a flawless show, which we know doesn't happen, but, I also wanted to appeal to the masses, and I should have had my private catching up time with a friend, offline. But could have been worse, but could have been better too. But if you didn't see yesterday's live stream as far as the pattern I was making, it is proof that I don't always get it right on the first try. Trust me. It was a self-portrait, and a lot of people saying, you're going to make yourself better looking? No, I don't. I go by the photograph I'm dealing with. I was not better looking, and there were some changes I can make, and I may still do that, but since it's a self-portrait, it's not going to, people aren't going to be jumping to buy that pattern kind of thing, so I'm not really worried about how long it takes me to get it dialed in. Now, I've told y'all in the past, right, and in the last video, which was in the past, thank you, Captain Genius, that on large detailed pictures, I print them out in 2 sheets of paper, but this is a very small picture. The source photo is very small, so I just did it 1 sheet of paper, so it's going to be a little crowded. But hopefully, Aussie Man will be able to join us at some point, since he's the one wanting it. It's not that it's a requirement. And there's a lot of chaotic shadows in here, because hopefully y'all can see that. If y'all can't, let me know and I'll try to zoom in. But we have, black straps and, all kinds of halters and whatever else. But there's also shadow in there. So where things go into the shadow, the easy way would be able to trace that all black. But, that's too easy. Hello, Papa Din. Good evening from Quebec, he says. But so where, in the case where the straps and stuff go through the shadows, I'm going to make those white. In other words, anything in this pattern, everything white will be will be wood. Everything dark will be cut out. But this would be really chaotic if I just made everything that was dark black. It'd be a simpler pattern, but it would look chaotic to me, and that's not how I roll. And there are some very light things, but when it comes to doing these people, it's going to be a booger because they're not up close and they're not crystal clear focus. Let me make sure my pen is working here. Yay. Okay, again, if you have any questions or comments, please throw them out there. Don't hesitate. If they're family friendly, I'll repeat them and I'll answer them. And I do have people watching on Facebook and YouTube, so that's why I read the comments out loud, because people on YouTube can't see the Facebook comments and people on Facebook can't see the YouTube comments. But I will say the YouTube chat is usually the most active and the video quality is usually a little better. Now, although this picture is a little bit blurry, is the overall picture that y'all are watching right now, is it clear enough, close enough, stuff like that? Let me know. Well, I technically agree with you, David. David Jones is saying there wasn't anything wrong with yesterday's show. Everyone is invited to join the chat, talk amongst the host and the other members in the chat. I 100% agree, but I don't know how to word it. I don't have any regrets. It seemed a little bit chaotic because a lot of it was me and a friend catching up, and it kind of went way off topic. Which off topic is fine. That's what we do. But I should have done that catching up on a non-live show. I'm not like it wasn't a total failure. I just learned from it. But yeah. Anyway, so let me. I can't really get any closer with the camera without it being in front of me. How big this one is made is up to the person who ordered the pattern. Aussie Man Bill. I'm just going to make it one sheet of paper, and I scan it in at 300 dpi to clean it up and color it in. Now, an example on clouds. I didn't think to ask him this, so we'll figure it out at some point. Clearly, the sky is darker than the clouds, but if I were to just cut out the dark areas of the sky, it could look like nighttime, technically. Well, there's some buts, Dave, but yeah, I'm scrolling on. The sky is darker than the clouds, obviously, but if you want it to appear more like daytime, you would just suggest the outlines of the clouds rather than just flat out tracing the sky and making that a cutout. I need to get with Aussie Man Bill, who ordered this, to see how he wants it. So that's why we're going to get to the sky last. Ordinarily, I would probably go ahead and get that out of the way. Daniel Langford said, "I'll catch the rest later on the way to church. Keep the streams coming. I learned so much. Thanks and thank you, sir." Okay. I'm telling y'all, folks, this is going to be a chaotic one, but I promised him I would do it, and we might learn something here. If this one in yesterday's bothers you, you might like tomorrow's. It's going to be a dog. I'll go ahead and I can go ahead and show you that photograph. I have permission to use the photograph, but I don't know yet if I have permission to sell the pattern yet. But this is what tomorrow's pattern will be. I'm going to take out the backgrounds, but it will be a dark background for the pattern. But yeah, this is what we're going to be working with tomorrow. And that's a much larger photograph, or more clearly focused, if nothing else. And this is another custom pattern I have coming up, and this is the hazards of dealing with physical photos. It's pretty darn blurry, and he knows that. But that's another custom pattern I'll be doing. So there's that. Let me stop sharing, get back over to the thing. Appreciate you being here, by the way, Stanley, and everybody else as well. Before I get going, does anybody have any questions whatsoever regarding pattern making or just anything? I just realized I have the wrong camera setting going. I hope y'all can hear me okay, but I want to get the camera closer, but it'll literally be right in front of my face if I bring it any lower. Okay, I'm just going to pick a spot to start. And there may be some things, because this scene is so chaotic and small to draw on, there are some things I'll be cleaning up when I do the computer portion. I will be showing that as well. But the purpose of this is to show how I make my patterns. The computer portion isn't to teach the program, because it's Paint Shop Pro 4. I don't even think it's available anymore. But anyway, we're just going to get going, and I'll find out later what the customer wants as far as the sky behind the clouds. So I'm just going to work with the hair on the first horse here. There's not going to be a lot of detail in the hair, just tracing because it's not close up enough to really have any detail. But I still want it to look somewhat clean and not just sloppily scribbled in there. So hopefully y'all can see all this. It's probably more blurry in person than it is on the camera, believe it or not. But believe it or not, if he decides he wants the sky cut out, that actually alters this pattern somewhat because we have a black main overlapping the sky. BAACC should be a category. I don't know what that means, but okay. If he wants the sky cut out, I will have to do a separation. Well, potentially we'll have to do a separation between that dark main and the sky to show where the main is and where the sky is. But in the meantime, we're going to treat it like we're just suggesting the clouds. And okay, so we're just going to move on. These horses have blinders on, and that's what this is on this side over here. I am kind of jumping around here, but at least that appears to be a blinder. Now, one advantage for this picture being so far back is we don't have to have uber detail necessarily, because if you can't see it, you can't make it into detail unless you know exactly what it looks like. But here's an example of light shining off of a black blinder on this side. But I'm just going to concentrate on the shape of it and the shadow of it, because if I do that, it'll just be a big black mark. And we dealt with that yesterday on the picture of me. And a little bit of that blinder coming off this, going to come off the eye to do that one. Oh. Good old Dave. Okay. Now we have the halter going across the nose, but it's not dark black. I'm just going to suggest it because it's really just a line showing. Again, we're going off what we can see, not inventing it. So I'm just going to do shadows under both sides of it, rather than going across the nose. That makes it less brittle. Let me look at it right side up, figure out what we got going here. Some of this is just hard to make out. I know it's, halter and straps and all that crap, but I want to at least attempt to make it look like what it's supposed to look like, but it's pretty darn blurry. And again, anywhere where straps are going across shadows, I'm going to make them white, even though they're technically black or dark. A little bitty circle for the halter. The less you have to invent something for a pattern, the better, because you're relying on what it should look like rather than what it does look like. And sometimes I'm guilty of that if I know what's in the photograph and want to make it more prominent. But on this one, I'm trying to stay true to the photograph. And some of it is actually guesswork, so I guess there is a tiny bit of inventing. Josh Grover says you have to draw this upside down because it's going down under. Yep. But I looked all over the internet, could not find good pictures of, because he specifically wanted a stagecoach robbery, but also with 6 horses on the stagecoach, and there's very few good pictures to work from of a stagecoach with 6 horses. But most of the pictures I found, the horses were sitting still, and there was no excitement in the picture. But he also wanted to see Stagecoach robbery, and that's pretty much what's happening here. Hello, Steve Neal. Appreciate you being here. Lawrence Alder says, I know you said you have videos, but can you just pen or pencil to color the dark areas? You can do it however you want to, sir. Yeah, because the only reason I colored mine in for display online, or that's why I colored them in, is for display online. Is so people know what areas to cut out. Any pattern of mine, unless it says cut out white, any pattern you see of mine, and this is the case with most designers, is you will always cut out the dark unless it says cut out, a specific color. This has potential to be very chaotic because of all the detail in it, but we're going to do our best. And you can see I'm just jumping around. There's no order to how I'm doing it. I may go from one horse to the next, but we'll see as we go. Now, this white area on a horse is called a blaze or a stripe. It depends on who you talk to. Even though the skin around it or the hair color is darker around that blaze, sometimes I like to suggest the blaze by just making a single line, but I have to attach it to something. So that's what I'm doing here. You're welcome, Lawrence. Okay. We're still on the first horse here. And there's some things that may show up better to me than it does to y'all. There's a little bit of a strap showing here, or maybe just light shining off of his muscle there. So I don't know what's showing up and what's not. But as far as yesterday's live stream of me making a pattern, I have no regrets that it didn't come out perfectly, because people need to know that I don't just whip out patterns that are perfect, because, well, none of them are perfect, but y'all got to see the process I go through. Sometimes it works pretty darn good, and other times it's chaos, like the other one ended up being. So I have no regrets on that, except for the fact that it was a self-portrait and I couldn't make it pretty. Come on now, that's funny. Okay. We do have to take the required sip. I really should be sponsored by Dr. Pepper, just saying. Pop open that puppy. But odds are pretty good we're not going to have any of this piece out of camera view, because it's small enough. Yeah, it is very faint even to the naked eye. So yeah, it's so chaotic, for lack of a better word, but it is a neat picture. I just wish it was much clearer and bigger, but we can work with it. Now, that the soldier I showed you, or I don't know what branch of the military it was, so it may have been a Marine, I don't know. If you didn't catch that, it was earlier when I was showing you future live streams, but the soldier won't be on a live stream. But it was an example of working from a physical photograph that was scanned in. And when you have that, I get it, because some people have passed on. The only picture you have of them is a physical photo, not a digital photo. All the customer needs to know in that case is that you're limited by what you can see, and if the detail's not there, you're limited by that, because I don't know the people in the photographs like the people that give me the photograph. So we're just going to do the best we can do on that. Can't tell if there's a strap there or not, but we'll just make part of one there. And please, if anybody has any questions, don't hesitate, because, not everything is crystal clear. I get it. It's okay to ask questions. It does not make you stupid. And if anybody gives you heck for asking a question, I will kick them out of the live stream. Hello, John Nave. Appreciate you joining us, sir. Now this shadow went down further, but I didn't take advantage of it. But now that I'm saying that, this is another example of me changing my mind in real time. I didn't want to go down as low for some reason. I guess I was trying to not make it brittle, but I am going to go low. So we're going to ignore that squiggly line and come down just a little bit lower. Try to stay as true to the photograph as possible. Or not a photograph, but you know what I mean. Now, if these were black horses, we would be concentrating on the light reflecting off of their coat. But they're not black horses, but that's just an example. Someday I could have a live stream pattern making of a dark animal, and you'll see the differences you're dealing with, because on a light vehicle or anything light colored, you're concentrating more so on some detail and the shadows, and on darker things, you're concentrating on the light reflecting off of it and some of the detail. Hello, Ian. Appreciate you being here. Well, one example being on I believe these are referred to as socks, although that's usually white on a horse, but these are dark. There's light reflecting off of them, so I'm not going to just trace that completely black. I could, but he wants it over detailed, so I'm going to be true to the photograph the best I can see it, or the painting, whatever the heck you want to call it. And we do have shadows up underneath these horses, but if I just traced them all right in there, we'd have a bunch of floaters, so I'm going to break them up a little bit. And I might even leave the shadows underneath the horses out, but if we're going for realism and trying to stay true to the picture, then I may have to figure something out. But sometimes things like that don't translate well. No, the hoof will not be a floater. I always try to avoid floaters. I don't know how well y'all can see that, but there's light shining off of that black sock there, so I've connected the hoof through there. I never do intentional floaters on custom patterns unless the customer is okay with that, because sometimes intentional floaters add to realism. Usually in the case of a flag with stars on it or lights in somebody's eyes, it depends on the picture. And if there's ever a pattern you are, or cutting you are working on that has intentional floaters, all you have to do is save the waste area around that floater, and then when you're going to glue the piece to the backer, you put that waste area back into place and put glue on that floater, and that will, by having that waste area laid down there, not with glue on the back of it, it will aid in making sure you place that floater in the exact right spot. I hope that made sense. I very rarely have intentional floaters, but sometimes it's just best for the realism, and I kind of have this thing for realism. E&M says, "Hi Charles, have you tried a light tracing box for your patterns?" The light tracing is not really needed because I'm tracing the detail. I'm not trying to see through it. But if I ever do forget to trace something and I need to reline the carbon paper over the clean sheet of paper, I do have a light table, but I only use that when I forget to trace something. And if that ever happens, you'll see me do that. I can see how some people would want to use a light box, but I'm only tracing the detail. I don't need to. The light wouldn't really benefit me in any way that I can see, unless I forgot to trace something and I have to reline the carbon paper and everything up. It's getting a little close close on detail here, so I don't want to crowd it too much and make it brittle. It's a random shadow there, but I'm going to stay true to the picture. And I don't know if I read that question out loud. Ian M asked, "Hi Charles, have you tried a light tracing box for your patterns?" That was what I was answering. I'm thinking that this area right here, I think that's part of the hitch that all the horses are attached to. But it looks kind of out of place. But we want to stay true to the photograph or painting, so we'll figure something out here. Still going to jump around. And when you have like a herd of horses running, man, that can be really chaotic, where they overlap each other. Because if you just trace every single dark and light that you see, then it'll be all kinds of a cluster, you know what? And that's something you kind of want to avoid. So sometimes you just got to add little breaks in there. Now, one example of something you might barely see it is the hoof of the front leg of this second horse back is behind that tail. But I'm just going to suggest it. But we are going to have a little break between the tail and that, so that it doesn't get lost in there. And I may change my mind later and just attach it to that horse tail detail. But I'm pretty much okay with. Let me suggest the shape of it on one side. We don't want to close it completely in because there'll be a floater in there. Okay, so now you can tell the legs behind there. It's a little lost by the tail, but worse problems to have. And I added a little bit of detail in here just to give him an area to drill a pilot hole. But, I had to do something to tie in that other side of that leg. So I'm just going to do a line here to suggest the rest of the belly. And bear with me. Now, again, I don't know exactly right this second. Anytime I pause, I'm trying to think of how I want to do something, or I'm thinking on the fly, so to speak, as far as live videos go. I want to incorporate the shadow for staying true to the picture as well as details. So I'm just going to basically, although I'm staying true to the picture, we'll have a bunch of floaters in here if I just trace it as is. So there's going to be a little gap between the shadow and where it's hitting. Hopefully the suggestion of it will work artistically. Sometimes it's easy to do, sometimes it's not. I think that'll work though. Josh Grover says, "I'm trying to get a good picture of a car to send to you to make a pattern." Sweet. Yeah, cars can be fun. But just know that the bigger the photo, the better. Digital works better than physical because you can zoom in on it. The bigger it is, closer up it is, and the more clearly focused it is, the better details, you can get out of it. I have a video on my channel called what the hell did I call it? Ideal Guidelines for Custom whatever. If you look up the word Ideal Guidelines on a search on my YouTube channel, you'll find it. It lets people wanting custom portraits and patterns. It lets people know what works best to work from, for me specifically, but in general, it helps people, I hope. And as you can see, I don't have a lucky pen I do these things with. I just need a pen that works. I used a different pen yesterday in that one. Got a little lost on ink. Dennis Goodson says, "Hi, Charles. That is going to look really cool. I have to get back to YouTube to see how the self-portrait and the Stagecoach came out. Stagecoach isn't done yet. I took a break from that, because it wasn't that exciting to me. But it will. I will be working on it again. Self-portrait could use some work. Didn't turn out. It's got a few mistakes in it, but I can iron it out. But the reason why I didn't wrestle with it too much is because it's just a picture of me, and it's not like a pattern people are going to rush out to get. So, I learned some things from it. That Tesla electric truck is ugly as crap to me. That's just me personally. Papa Den's telling Josh he should try the Tesla electric truck. Yeah, vehicles can be fun to do because we're dealing with reflections, light, and shadows, and the general detail. Okay. Some of this I have no idea what it is, but I'm trying to stay true to the lines I can see. Yeah, anytime you see me or hear me staying quiet, besides the fact that I'm usually babbling, it's because I'm trying to think of how I want to do something or where I want to go next. Hello, Mr. Russ Meadows. Appreciate you being here. You got the link per the usual. If you so desire, Josh Grover said, "Pop it in. This car is a friend's dad's car." Yeah. But yeah, Dennis, I did the sunglasses. I did have to alter from the photograph to the pattern to make the sunglasses look better, and that's towards the end, obviously. But I did that via the computer part, so you'll see that if you go back and watch that one. It was mainly the frame I had to add more darkness to because it didn't look right. Sometimes I'm not good at translating stuff. And right now I'm trying to figure out where I want to go next. I'm going to go ahead and do the shadow under here, but we do have a plant in front of it, so we want to be mindful of that. I'm just going with the outline of the shadow. I'm not worried about anything inside of it except for that plant. You want to be real crisp with this part. I felt so bad for Russ yesterday. He couldn't even leave the he couldn't even leave the show verbally because people talking 90 miles an hour and not giving him a breath to even say, "Hey, I got to run." So he was actually typing it in the chat. I actually felt bad, and I wrote to him and apologized. But yeah. Can't even really see the hoof of the horse here. So that's one of the things where I would have to invent it if I could figure out how it looked. I mean, I know what a hoof on a horse looks like, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and invent a hoof so it just kind of looks a little more realistic. Could be better, but oh well. Yeah, I couldn't get a word in edgewise, says Russ Meadows. I hear you, man. I felt so bad because you're a regular on here, but yeah, I know you understood, but yeah, we live and we learn. Or I tried to anyway. Some things work for live shows, some things do not, but the intentions are always good. And again, this is another area where I could easily just blacken all that out, but he wants detail, and if there's light shining off that black, I'm going to take advantage of it. And the reason why you don't see me tracing completely around these hooves is to give it more to hold on to. It'd be more brittle if it was only holding on up top. Hello, Mr. Pete Roberts. Appreciate you being here, sir. Yeah, we got that plant down here. I can barely make out the shape of the plant, so I'm just going to be generic with it. Concentrating on shadows and just suggesting the shape of it. Yeah, I am inventing here because I can't really even tell what the plant looks like. Yeah, so there's not going to be an uber detail when it comes to the plants, especially down here. It's just all a blurry mess. But that's probably prickly pears. I don't know what other people call them. Some people call them cacti. But yeah, prickly pear is what we call them here in Texas. I don't know what the technical term is, if there even is one. But if you're looking for stability in a pattern, you can add breaks where there aren't any. You know, it's all about what you want. Unless you're doing it for somebody else, you know, it's what they want. Russ Meadows says we've got more watching than we have thumbs up, folks. Well, that's all right. If people would have to like it in order to give it a thumbs up, that's up to them. But I appreciate what you're trying to do. I overthink everything. I know I do. But anyway, I got 3 thumbs downs on yesterday's video, but I don't easily pay attention to stuff like that. I was just looking to see how many views I had, and I happened to notice. Again, we're breaking up the shadow here around stuff so it doesn't have too many brittle areas, and there's not a lot of shape to it, but there is a plant going in front of it again, so I'm going to be mindful of that. John Nave says agreed, and I've been talking so much I'm not even sure what he's agreeing to, but noted. Josh Grover says, if we go to cut a pattern, do we need to check with the designer if we add more bridges? No, you do not. Because you you can do anything you want with a pattern to make it more comfortable for you to cut. The only thing you can't do morally or legally is sell the pattern that somebody else designed. Even if you alter it, it's still derived off of theirs, but you can sell the finished piece from it. Uh, Russ Meadows is asking, why would you, Josh? Uh, because, you know, I think he just doesn't want to step on any toes. But yeah, if you're cutting it for yourself or anybody else, if it's a finished piece, nobody has any say over. Unless it's like a Disney character kind of thing. But yeah, you can make any changes you want to a pattern. I mean, I would ask each designer you're dealing with, but you know, as far as me, I know some of my patterns can be scary. So if you want to add bridges for your own comfort of peace of mind to get it cut without it falling apart, by all means do that. Orange Aldridge says, Charles, you are not the only one who ever thinks about things or overthinks things. I'm really, really, really bad about it. I'm horrible at it. Yeah, but it has its advantages, but yeah, but it also has its disadvantage when I overthink things. I know there's people out there I offend. I did it today on Facebook unintentionally, just trying to be funny. And good God, I started a debate from heck. It was just supposed to be a funny picture, and that's body shaming. I'm not a body shamer. It was a dang joke. But I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, you can't please everybody. But being that I am trying to quote unquote run a business, you know, selling patterns, I'm polite as much as I can be. I do break rank every now and then and get rude if I feel disrespected, which one person did, but I got over it. Uh, I just killed him with kindness, so to speak. But I definitely overthink things sometimes because every time I say or do something, I'm thinking who could take it what way, and that's why I overthink because I want my intentions to be clear when I do something and say something, so that people don't assume. But some people will assume anyways, and you know what they say about assuming. But man, I just posted this innocent little funny picture earlier, and it caused all kinds of chaos. It's funny because I can see 10 people post the same picture, but it seems like when I post it, 50 people freak out. But, oh well. Josh Grover says, yeah. Joe Nave says that guy was a snowflake. Yep, yep. Josh Grover says, started cutting some patterns and the entire thing was held in by 2 bridges. So I wanted to add a couple bridges. But yeah, whatever makes you comfortable. If it looks the way you want it to look in the end, that's what matters. The only thing you can't do is sell a pattern as your own if you made changes to it, because you still made changes to somebody else's design. So there's that. But yeah, I'd be very, very, very surprised if any designer was upset that you cut something making changes to their pattern. As long as you're not selling the pattern, my opinion, they have no say in it. Yeah, that's saying. I can't speak for other designers, but I feel somewhat confident that nobody would be upset with you. I definitely wouldn't be because I know my patterns are pretty darn detailed and scary. Lawrence Aldridge says, I studied 3 to 4 years before I started a scroll saw. I did not think I would stick with it, but I did. Yeah, when I first started, I couldn't stay anywhere near the line. I said, there's no way I'm going to stick with this, but I guess determination won out. And here we are. I never dreamed I'd be doing YouTube videos and attempting to teach people because I never thought of myself as much of a teacher. And we have my friend and yours, folks. Mr. Chaos wouldn't let us talk yesterday. Just kidding. What's up, Russ? I guess he can't hear us or he's frozen. There he is. No, his picture's a little. Russ, I think I can hear you, but your picture's choppy. Yeah, you are. But now I heard you say it lagging a little bit. Yeah, but it's working now.
Yeah,
but I get.
Yeah, trying to, and it's everything's been slow.
That's weird too, because we were talking the other day how you're on fiber optic.
What's going on? So
Maybe reboot the computer or something. Because the only reason it matters to me is because your audio is lagging too. But the picture we can get over once I get back to the pattern. But if it matters to you, maybe rebooting would help. I don't know. All I heard was no. That means most of it was cut out. Whatever you were saying.
I do have a major lag. My words come. My mouth is moving.
No, the picture keeps locking up, and we'll get part of a sentence and not the rest of it. Don't give up on being here, but you may need to reboot or something to make it work. But yeah, this is the first time this has ever happened. Like right now, your picture's locked up. I'm going to go ahead and get back to the pattern, not to blow you off, but keep trying. Just he's still here, folks. He's just locked up. Yeah, everybody's saying lag, but yeah, don't give up on us, Russ. Don't get a case of the red honey. Just keep trying and come back if you need to. It'll be the same link. But I'm not trying to brush you off. I know you know that. Ian M says, Lawrence, I started with a Dremel motor saw, and from there I got interested in scrolling. Yep. I started with a Delta. Back when they had those little spring-loaded clamps, that was a hoot. And they had this gigantic tool that had 2 little pokers on it to torque down that screw. But we didn't know any better at the time of what was out there. Russ has left us, but hopefully he'll be back. And some people will debate. They'll say it's not the saw, it's the person. And to me, it's a little bit of both. Now, don't get me wrong. If you can get a scroll saw, I want this to be very clear, and this is my opinion. Thank you, David Joanne Harrington. I really appreciate that. They're saying they love my work. I just wanted to let y'all know what I was reading. It was from Facebook. I want to be very clear here. I am not saying you cannot do good work with a crappy saw. What I am saying is you don't know the limitations of your saw until you've gotten better. It's not mandatory to get a better one, but if you want to deal with less vibration in some cases, other cases meaning a saw that will hold up to, if you are as addicted to scrolling as I am and you scroll almost daily and hours on end, you need a saw that can hold up to that. They're not always $1,000 saws. A DeWalt, at least the ones here recently, I'm hearing a lot of complaints about DeWalts, but a DeWalt is a very common middle of the road saw price wise, and it holds up to it. But some saws don't, and that's what I mean when I'm talking about you get what you pay for. You can make a Harbor Freight or other entry level saw work, but the limitations are based on how often you use it and what you try to do with it and stuff like that. So that's what I mean when I say you get what you pay for. But yes, in the end, when it comes to quality of scrolling, except for vibration of the saw, it's on the operator, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice. Some people can pick it up quickly, some cannot. And I did pick it up quickly. I know I wanted to get good at it, and that's what I've been trying to do. And anybody in the chat is welcome to give feedback on that as well, because the show isn't about me, it's about the community. I think that's a tail sticking out back there, so I'm just kind of winging it. Can't really tell much, but I want to suggest that there's a tail there. Hello, Anthony Campbell. Appreciate you being here. Mac Pierce is here. Good evening. And Lawrence says, about 3 years ago, I started carving 3D eagle heads for walking sticks and wood burning the shafts for friends and family. That sounds cool. And not everybody can carve, so you have a good little niche there. Now we have, again, I hope this shows up. If not, I don't know how to prove it, but we have something dark. One of the horse's shadows, probably the belly of that horse. You have this horse's legs and chest right here, and there's the other horse's back behind it. So I'm going to add a little bitty line of separation there to differentiate it. That way it doesn't look funny on the front horse. I don't know how well that shows up on camera. That's why I pointed it out. Mac Pierce taking a bow. Ian M says, well, looking at a Jet JWSS-18B scroll saw for £699, $916, but don't really know if I can justify the cost. Steve Good is a good one to ask about that. He has a Jet saw. But yeah, whether justifying the cost is up to the purchaser. Definitely. Dennis Goodson said, we had a power failure back on. Hi, Charles. Hi, Russ. Russ is no longer with us, but hopefully he'll be back. I don't mean he passed away. I mean he was having audio-video issues, but hopefully he'll be back. I forgot what I was just talking about. Justification on saws. I got lucky with my first Hegner. I had an 18-inch Hegner, and I was taking care of an elderly guy, and he was a big fan of my work. And he, I was living with it. I was a live-in caregiver, and he was a big fan of my work. So when my saw I had at the time, I don't even remember what it was, when it went to crap, he wanted me to keep scrolling. So he said, find the best saw out there. And at the time, with my limited research, I found the Hegner, and he actually bought it. So I was tickled to death by that. I never would have been able to afford one. And on the 22-inch Hegner, I got lucky. I found the guy willing to take payments on it. So that's how I was able to get that. And it was the same case when I got the 30-inch Excalibur from Jerry Brown. He let me make payments on it. And the Seiko was gifted to me by Ray over at Seiko. They wanted me to try it and see what I thought. And I love it. I love the company. I love the customer service. So I will tout Seiko all day long. I do not have to be sponsored by somebody to like their product and talk about it. And I'm not being influenced by anybody else. I'm influenced by the quality of the product and the customer service. Customer service means a lot to me. You can have good products and stuff like that, but if your customer service sucks and you're a butt monkey, I won't do business with you. Not everybody thinks that way. That's just me. Anthony Campbell says, "Well, that's a blessing there." I don't even know what that's in response to because I've talked so much. Lawrence Aldridge says, "I've never looked at pictures like you do, Charles, but I can see how you do it now. It was kind of intimidating to start with, so thank you, sir. You're welcome." And that's why I don't know if I'm a good teacher, but I try to be. My method of teaching is I'm very thorough in explaining what I'm thinking, why I'm thinking it, and if I change my mind, I'm telling you why I changed my mind. Because every time I do one of these, even those downloadable videos you see, if you go to woodenvisions.com, there's 5 different downloadable videos on how to make patterns on paper, and the theme matters. So you'll see, if you were to watch all 5 of them, you would know why there's 5 different videos out there. But I try to let people know why I'm changing my mind, and if I change my mind again, I do it in real time. Although it's recorded, it was recorded live. And so there's that. I try to be a very thorough teacher. It's up for debate how good of a teacher I am, but the less questions you have after I'm done makes me feel better. And I'm going to leave out that detail. I tried to throw it in there, but it looks out of place. So I'm going to put a little X there to remind me to leave that detail off. Getting the saw like that. Dennis Goodson says, "I love Seiko. Ray is great. I'm lucky to be close by Seiko. Well, maybe 60 miles or so." And Russ is back in the chat, but not on the panel. For those that, yeah, I got very lucky. When I met Ray, it was like meeting a celebrity because I had heard so many good things about his company and stuff like that. And he said he had heard of me, so that was kind of flattering. And that's why he wanted to. Now, I don't know for sure, but I think somebody else had some influence in me getting that saw, but I don't name names or he'll be swamped. People trying to get them a saw. So I'm not going to say I bought it and this and that. I would have if I could have afforded it, but it was given to me. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, E&M says, "Not a lot of companies in the UK selling scroll saw." Yeah, I think Jamie Page isn't here to answer this, but or Dale Kirkwood. Or other UK-based scrollers. Jamie Page deals with a Record Power. They also have the Axminster. I don't know if these are UK manufacturers, but I know that those are names I've heard from UK scrollers as far as saw manufacturers. There are others, but I can't remember any of them. Dennis Goodson says, "You're both well known in the scroll saw world." Well, thank you, sir. Well, he's probably liked by more people than I am, but that's all right. I can ruffle feathers at times. But yeah, I mean, I've always underplayed my, I don't even want to use the word. Okay, Russ Meadows, I say your thumbnails, but it says devices are not connected, so I'm waiting for that to show up before I bring in here. But to know that Ray had heard of me was flattering. Even though I've been doing this for a while, and some people love my pattern, some people are scared to death of them. I guess my name is known, if I'm being honest with myself, but I still flattered when somebody recognizes me or praises me. Not that I expect anybody to praise me, but yeah, it's very flattering. But for somebody of his magnitude to have heard of me, it meant a lot. It won't even let you in here, Russ, until your devices are connected. So just bear with me. Don't get upset. Okay, he left. He'll be back, hopefully. I should be getting the scrollers drill tomorrow. Lawrence Aldridge was asking if I got the Seiko scrollers drill yet. It has been shipped. I should be getting it tomorrow. Well, Dennis Goodson says it's called celebrity. I didn't want to use that word because I always fear sounding arrogant, and I know I overthink that too. Good evening, Mr. Chris Nealon. I saw that you wrote to me on Facebook, but I was on a live stream. I couldn't go look at it, but I want to acknowledge that you wrote, like you just told me. Yeah, I would recommend Ray and Seiko to anybody because his customers, I can't talk about it enough, his customer service, even his guys back in the little shop. And it really is a little shop. The whole building's tiny, but, they get what they need done. The guys in the shop are excellent. Ray is so personable and friendly, and he doesn't make you feel stupid. He doesn't treat you like a number. He makes you feel like a valued customer, and that means a lot to me. Josh Grover says, "Lawrence, I'm wishing I had scrollers drill because I'm making a 12x17 motorcycle." Yeah, and I'll be so glad to get the scroller's drill because I've been using that heavy hand drill. And Dennis Goodson says he has one. I have one, and it really comes in handy. I wanted to ask, does that come with a light on it, or is there enough room that you don't really need a light to drill the pilot holes? Probably not mandatory. It's not like I scroll in the dark, but I was just curious if that scroller's drill has a light on it. But anyway, let me get back to this, and since we've gotten this far into the pattern, well, it may not be too late. I'll just have to make some changes if Aussie Man decides he wants the sky to be cut out rather than just suggested on the cloud outlines. Usually by default, I will suggest cloud outlines rather than cutting out the sky because it can look like nighttime. Okay, Dennis Goodson says you don't need the light. Good to know. Lawrence Alder says, Josh, have you thought about the Dremel? Some people do have the Dremel with the plunger attachment. I've been told in the end it comes out to about the same. Getting the accessories and the Dremel and this and that, depending on which Dremel you get, of course. Okay, we have Mr. Russ Meadows, and he's all nice, crisp, and clear now. Hello, Mr. Russ Meadows. Okay, let's test talking. How you is? Wire.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, you got a little bit of lag, but not near as bad. It's definitely tolerable. I can tell by the look on your face. You were saying, howdy, howdy, I'm such a good mood here. That look on your face is like, man, I just found out women poop. Like you just found out that women poop. I get it. Hearing what?
Still hearing the audio.
Yeah, it's a little laggy.
But, it may be that in the chat. Yeah.
It may be what?
Unless then later, there may be a lot of people on right now. They're going to be down.
Man, everybody be dragging the man down, man. Dennis Goodson says you don't need the light on the scroller's drill, and Lawrence brought up a good idea. He said that if not, Charles, you can tape a pin light on it. Go ahead, Russ. I heard you starting to talk.
I have lost the train
of thought. I heard I lost the trick, and then you cut out. But don't give up on me. I know it's going to be frustrating, but people love having you here, so don't give up on trying to. And Lawrence Alders says you're right, Charles. It's about the same. Yeah, price-wise. Yeah, without having that scroller. Hopefully you come back. I mean, you're welcome, obviously, but I'm not going to tell you how to feel about the technical issues you're having. But I hope you'll be back.
All right.
All right. Be good, buddy. Regarding, I haven't seen the scroller's drill in person is why I was asking the questions about the light. And, because I'm not looking at it right this second either, even on the picture of it, because, I wondered if there was enough clearance to get light under there. But then again, we don't scroll in the dark unless we have issues. But I imagine it's worth its weight in gold. And I trust Seiko, I trust Ray, and I trust Dennis Goodson as far as his review of it. So is there anything you don't like about it, Dennis, just for the sake of, equal opportunity critique? And Russ has left us, just so you know. And for anybody out there that thinks I might be getting influenced in any way by Seiko, yes, he gave me a saw, but it doesn't mean he expected me to praise him or the company or the products. But if I like a product, I'll tell you about it. I don't know about the scroller's drill yet, but I'm very excited to try it out. There's a little bit of chaos going on in here. I see something light in there, but I'm just going to combine all that shadow and darkness and not even mess with trying to figure out what it is. Now, I'm going from memory from the picture I saw of the scroller's drill, but it looks like it has springs on either side, which means you don't have to pull it back up. It'll flex back up. And there's probably enough clearance in there for enough light to get under there when you're drilling. Dennis Goodson said it catches a little when I push the drill down. Okay. Now that could, I'm guessing, I've never dealt with it. Is that something greasing or WD-40 could fix on the springs or something? Then again, any concerns or issues you have with a product, and I know Dennis knows this, you can talk to Ray. He'll probably tell you how to fix it. Because I won't pretend I know anything about it yet because I don't have it yet, but I will give reviews and always honest. But no matter what product I ever get from Ray, I know he'll make it right if something isn't right. So I'm never going to be upset with him or a product. Josh Grover says, Lawrence and Dennis, with the scroller drill, does it accept microbits without an adapter? In other words, what he's talking about for those that don't know. About time he showed up, Aussie, man. I appreciate it. In other words, some people use a mini chuck in order to be able to use micro drill bits. I know that's what Josh is asking about. Chris Nealon says, my Seiko is the most quiet vibration-free tool in my shop. Even when I turn it on, I really need to use it more. Yeah, I need to use mine more too. The clamping system is why my Hegner, that and years of experience is why I jumped to the Hegner first, but nothing at all against the Seiko. Dennis Goodson says, yes, not bad. I don't think it's an issue. You might not think it's a problem. Yeah, I'm used to problems anyway, but not. That's just me. Good that you're here, Aussie, man. I'm going to ask you a question as soon as I'm done reading comments. Does the scroller drill on switch lock, or do you have to hold the button? I would imagine, I don't know for sure, but I feel pretty confident that it would lock on. But I don't know. Dennis Goodson has one, so he can tell us. I'm just verbalizing the comments. And Dennis Goodson's answering Josh, says the chuck is small for those tiny bits. Awesome. Also, man says, been busy. I'm only here for a while today. Got shot work to do. Okay, real quick, I wanted to ask, also, man, I've already started designing as if I'm just outlining the clouds rather than cutting out the sky. The reason why I'm asking is because if you cut out the sky completely, it could look like it's nighttime. And some people like that look. But generally what I do on a sky with clouds in it, I just suggest some of the edges of the clouds so you can tell there's clouds there, but I don't usually cut out the sky. And I've started designing it as if we were only suggesting the edges of the clouds and not cutting out the sky. So I hope you're okay with that. Otherwise, I'll have to do a lot of altering. And, okay, so you have to, Dennis Goodson says hold the button so it does not lock on. Well, then again, if we're being honest with ourselves as far as, convenience, you're not going to be using that drill nonstop anyways. I don't know how it works, but, if you have to hold the button to plunge it, I think it's okay to have to push the button to do that. That way it's just not still running, and if it gets knocked over, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, if you're just plunge cutting, you just hit that button each time. Bill is saying, what do you think would look best? I think what would look best, unless you want it to look like nighttime, I think what would look best is just suggesting the edges of those clouds, and I'll do that the best I can. But I'm afraid if we cut out the sky, it would look like nighttime, and it can kind of throw off the whole idea. But I appreciate you leaving it to me. I just didn't want to assume anything. That's why I'm glad you're here to ask. And I need to email you back, also, man, regarding this pattern. The business end of it. Dennis Goodson says, I use a zip tie to force the bottom down when I need to. You mean the button? I assume you mean button, but I am not going to say that I know what you're saying. I think you say button. But I could see, somebody cutting one of my patterns, they might want a lockdown button. Yeah, but there's ways of dealing with that. Probably what Dennis is saying right now. But try to get this cord out of the way. Although it's not in front of anything, it's just annoying me because that's how I roll. I don't know how well you can see it, Bill, but we've gotten this horse done, part of that horse and part of this horse. And I get it that you can't stay here the whole time. And Ultiman says, I'm okay with that. I trust you. do what you think will make a great looking project. Thank you, sir. Again, I will contact you if I can remember, because I'm terrible about it. But regarding the business end of this pattern we're working on, I will contact you via email, unless you just want to write to me if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, there's some chaos in here, so I'm just going to try to figure it out as we go. Don't want it to be too confusing. And again, we had that blaze I was telling you about, so I'm going to suggest that with a line, tying it into that detail. For people that don't know what a blaze is, some people call it a stripe. It's the white area on a horse's forehead. And if it's just a little cluster, some people call that a star. And thank you for trusting my judgment, Bill. But when I'm doing custom patterns, I don't like to assume, so I always ask. Actually, I don't like to assume anything, but yeah, sometimes I do. And I know you and I both wish we could have found a bigger, clearer picture, but this one's workable. The only confusion is going to be, trying to get the faces, and I know the faces on the guys on the Stagecoach aren't real important to the picture, but yeah, we're going to have to do a little bit of inventing. He says, I will blow it up a lot bigger. I want to do it as a much bigger project. Yeah, now that will lose some detail because some of this is so dang small. But yeah, you'll only be able to blow it up so big before it'll look a little funny. But yeah, I trust you too to do with what you want. Josh Grover says, Bill, how big are you planning to cut it? 3 stories high, by God. That's how I roll. No, that's how I scroll, baby. Come on now. I feel bad for Russ because he's a good guy. He's patient, but when you deal with technical crap, it's like at some point you just want to throw your computer out the window. I've been there, trust me. Aussie Man says, also, I don't mind detail as much as you like. Yeah, I'm going to do my best without making it impossible to cut. Ian M says, it's been interesting watching and listening, but it's getting late here, so night all. Appreciate you being here, Ian. Alrighty. See, my pauses aren't near as long when I do a live stream on a pattern because I can glance up to look. He says 2 feet by 3 feet most likely is the size he'll cut it at. But when I'm scrolling, I can't scroll and look at the comments. But here I can glance real quickly and read the comments. Sorry you can't stay longer, Ian, but I get it. Some people want to be normal and sleep, and some people actually have jobs. Not that I'm not saying the viewers don't. I'm referring to myself. That's just crazy to cut things that big. I don't know where you would ever get that idea. Bill, I'm kidding. I'm not saying you got the idea from me, but I'm trying to be funny because everybody knows I cut billboards myself. To me, it's more fun. It's more of a challenge. It's more fun, and you can get, if you're good at selling, you can get more money for it. But if you're looking to cover a big wall space too, that'll do it. And if anybody's just joining, I'm going to show you what tomorrow's live stream will be. Okay, I say tomorrow, but I don't know. Just the next pattern-related live stream will be the picture I'm about to show you. Where is it? Oh, I X'd it out, didn't I? No, this is tomorrow's live stream pattern. That's going to be a fun one. This is a friend's dog. I got permission to use the picture. I don't yet have permission to whether or not I can sell the pattern because it is her dog, and some people are, want it to be exclusive to them. But the only condition was that I gave them the pattern for free, which I had no issue with because I planned on it. If I use somebody's photograph, I want to get their permission. but I think this is going to be neat to do. And that also covers different themes. Yesterday I did a self-portrait. Today I'm doing this one here. And let me zoom in. You can see here how blurry and pixelated it is, but we'll do our best. But yeah, I think this one's going to be fun to do. So that'll be the next pattern live stream. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let's get back here. Stop sharing. And we can X out of that. Stop sharing. All right. And Josh Krober says, Bill, I think you should cut it life size. Aussie Man says, the view you see on here doesn't do the pic justice. Yeah. Rover Boy. Yeah, I don't remember the dog's name. And I don't even want to mention whose dog it is because I don't know what things people want to be private about, what they don't. But if I'm allowed to say so, I will tell the name of the person and the name of the dog. But it will be up to that individual as to whether or not I can sell the pattern, because they aren't paying for a custom pattern because I chose the picture wanting to use it for a live stream. And I got to get permission. I want to be ethical here. It's more about showing and teaching for me than making money off the pattern, but you know, every little bit helps. I know I've never talked about every little bit helps, have I? I know, that's weird. Okay, Aussie Man Bill says, I'm cutting this pattern only for me. I don't sell my work. I try to, but I don't. But Mac Pierce says, Charles, do you have any idea when you'll get back to the Cowboys in front of the barn pattern? See, I neglected when I was doing it, when I had people vote on the next live streams or next scroll solving projects, I forgot to mention the Cowboys in front of the barn. But the next one everybody picked was Rooster Cogburn on a horse, and then Yellowstone, Kevin Costner leaning on a fence with a horse. I forgot to throw that one in there. So at some point I will be doing it, but I don't know right when it'll be. But rest assured it'll be announced because that's how I roll. Dennis Cousin says, will you be cutting out tonight's pattern before the dog pattern? Tonight's pattern is a custom pattern for Aussie Man, so I won't be cutting it out because it's not my pattern, it's his. And the dog pattern I won't necessarily be cutting out because it's not my dog, unless, I mean, I could do it for my own show, but this pattern is Aussie Man's. The dog, I'll have to get, I feel like I need to ask permission to even cut it, but yeah, I mean, but one of the pictures people picked in the lineup of voting for future live streams was a German Shepherd. So that'll be an example of a dog being worked on. Leonard Davis says, hi, Charles. Hi, all. Hello, Leonard Davis. And let me get back to it. I hope I answered everybody's questions. I'm talking so much, I have no idea. Dennis Gibson says, okay, got it. All right. Actually, Aussie Man, because I have the memory of a dead milkshake, if you'll email me with your questions, then I'll respond with mine. Or mine are more comments than questions, but I don't want to do it publicly. So whatever, you said you have a couple of questions, so please email those questions to me as soon as you can so I don't forget. Because I'm telling you, as good as my intentions are on these live streams, half of what I talk about I forget after the live stream is over. Every now and then I don't. But yeah, if you'll email me with your questions, then I'll discuss what I was going to discuss. Nothing deep and problematic in any way, shape, or form. Anyway, take us a swig of Dr. Pepper and we'll go and get back on it. But also, man, I trust your judgment to know that, you know, I'm pretty limited as to the detail back in here and back in here. Obviously, we know what those are, but the realism is going to be pretty limited back there on those things in the background. Yeah, that's all I could come up with, Mac. But a dead milkshake, yeah. And they can't all be winners. And small fries. How do you kill a milkshake? Again, I don't think these things through. Y'all heard me be a train wreck. Come on, this ain't no surprise. Yeah, it's funny right there. Anthony Campbell says, hey, Charles, do you remember how much of an edge the Founding Fathers piece had? I want to say half an inch, sir. But now don't let me lie to you. I'm going to say half an inch. That sounds safe. Because and not to push you back into an earlier live stream, but Tracy Kitten says, Tracy Keaton, hello, and she says, I liked it. Lawrence Alter says, Charles, I'm going to cut your memorial pattern in copper. That's awesome. Let me, all the comments are coming in at once. I guess there's a big lag from YouTube to StreamYard. But yeah, Anthony Campbell, if you don't mind, it's probably somewhere in the first live feed, it will probably talk about how much of a border I have, but I'm pretty confident it's a 1/2-inch border. And we technically don't, I know this has been a little bit of a booger, but we don't need as much of a border at the top if that's doable, because George Washington's head goes closer to the top than 1/2 inch, but it's also okay if it overlaps a little bit because we'll still be able to tell what it is. Danny May says, nice. Thank you for being here, Danny May, and thank you for the compliment. Awesome Man says, okay, me too. I will in a minute. Lawrence Aldridge says, cool. Or Leonard Davis says, Lawrence Aldridge, cool. I'm just catching up on all comments. All right, so let's get back on this after I light me a stogie, because I have an addiction. Anthony Campbell says, we're working on getting the idea up and going to let you see what kind of idea I have for the frame. Sweet. I'm so much looking forward to that. Let me know what I need to do to make it up to you, because I feel like I always want to give back. Josh Grover says, Lawrence, I would love to see the cut on copper. Yeah, that would be awesome. Especially polished copper, I guess. Hell, I don't know. All right, let's get back on this. There's a lot of shadow chaos in here, and if we just traced it all, we'd have all kinds of floaters in here and here, so I'm going to break it up a little bit. Anytime I'm being silent and not doing anything, it's me figuring out how I want to do it. I'm going to, because these would be floaters, I got to break it up a little bit so that shadow is going to fall slightly short of the strap here, or reins, whatever the heck that is. Also, Man says, if it helps, I'm thinking of cutting it on a large oval tree trunk slice. Wow. I don't like to work with thick wood. I can work with thick wood, but I don't like to because it goes slower. But, you know, whatever works for you. You said it was for you. It's definitely not up to me, by golly. Okay. It's weird. Some days I have to motivate myself to do these live streams, but I always love doing them. That's why I don't know why it takes me having to do motivation sometimes, because I always enjoy doing them. Sometimes life and priorities get in the way, by God. Contrary to popular belief, I am human. Go figure. Mac Pierce says, I've always heard cigars called stogies, never heard it used for cigs. Yeah, because I'm weird like that. Josh Grover says, Lawrence, if you're going to use a special blade for the copper, are you going to use a special blade for the copper? Dennis Goodson says, would it be cool to do the heads of the people that are on U.S. coins like a circular pattern? That's probably not a bad idea. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's already done that. But yeah, that is a good idea. Okay, there's some detail in here I can't even really make out, but it's there, so I'm going to try to work with it without making it too brittle. Lawrence Aldridge says he's going to try number 5 reverse on that copper. Aussie Man says, just do the background as best you can, Charles. I didn't even think a pattern was possible. There are times I've turned people down on patterns, but this one has potential. You know, we've already started working with it, so I think we're going to be okay. Good, because the average customer understands that, you know, you're limited by the detail you can see. So, I mean, I'm glad this is somewhat usable. Now, the soldier, that's going to be a struggle. If nobody saw that, it's in the beginning of the live stream here that you can see after it's no longer live. But, yeah, that one won't be a live stream because it is pretty darn blurry and not much to work with. I don't know if my next live stream will be scrolling or a pattern. It just depends on how I feel. And if I have weird sleep hours, it could be in the middle of the night when I start back on cutting. The last cutting we were working on was a Stagecoach. I still have to do some design additions to make it prettier to look at, in my opinion. Aussie Man says, most of my scroll sawing I do on tree slices. I did not know that. Ray Bridewell does that as well. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's a good friend of mine. Lawrence Alder says the copper I want to use is for foil art. It's just a little thin foil. Cool, cool. A little thicker than foil. Mac Pierce says Bill is an all wood tree slices. That's funny right there. I know what he means. He means, rounds. Anyway, let's get back on this. I never like to ignore comments. That's why I read them all. Because somebody could be asking a question or suggesting something that will help anybody watching, and that's why I always read them. There are times I should proofread them before I read them, but we get lucky most of the time. Timmy Carp says cool drawing. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. But unfortunately, I cannot sell this pattern. If I sold this pattern, I would have to charge people the same thing I charged Aussie Man Bill to do this, because when I'm doing a custom pattern for somebody, it does not go for sale to the public because they paid. I started at $50. This one's particularly $75 because of what we're working with, how detailed it is, and the fact that it's a little bit of a struggle with the blurry. But I started at 50. It can be higher, like in this case. But as cool as this picture may turn out, I cannot sell it to the public unless I charge the same thing I'm charging Aussie Man. And I always call him Aussie Man. Bill, his username on YouTube is actually Aussie Man 77181, but I always throw that Bill in there to acknowledge his name. Dennis Goodson says, Aussie Man, it would be great if you were on the panel. Charles, what do you think? I've never had a problem with it, but I don't think he has a camera and mic. But it would be nice to see how funny looking he is. And he probably talks like this, mate. And he'll probably tell you, no, I sound more like an Australian than you do, Charles. There's a black mark here that doesn't even look like an eye, so I'm not going to add that. That just looks out of place. His eye is probably behind the blinder here. Yeah, I would love to have Aussie Man on the panel. Okay, Aussie Man says, I wouldn't try to do the dust, Charles. Russ Meadows is in the chat. He says, yeah. Well, the dust, believe it or not, and if you're saying don't include the dust, I'll do that. But Aussie Man says, sorry, I don't have a camera on the computer. But if I'm being honest here, Aussie Man, that I have to, as far as designing, because if I don't suggest the dust over here in front of this rider, then it'll look like there's just half of a rider and a horse there. It'll look funny. It'll look like, he forgot to finish tracing. So what I would do is just sort of like little ripples here suggesting the dust. There's no detail in the dust except for the shadows down here. But if you don't mind, I'd like to at least suggest it there. I don't have to do it all in here because there's not much of it detail-wise, but at least right in here, I would like to add a tiny bit. Yeah, Aussie Man, while you're emailing me your questions, also email me. Let me know how funny you look. He says, I trust you. Go at it, Scroller Man. All right. Yeah, a lot of that does say I'm going to leave out. Although we can see it in the photograph, you can't really draw it. But yeah, since only half of that guy is showing there, you can't really see anything but behind it. So that'll let folks know why there's only half a cowboy there. Yeah, I'm not flirting with you, Bill. I just like to put a face to a name. So he looks nothing like I picture him. Russ Meadows, I assume you're still having audio-video issues. But I appreciate you taking the time to join in the chat. We have a combination of a plant going into the shadow and dust, so I'm just going to go with the plant, and because that dust is not really able to be made out much, so just going to do the shadow. And believe it or not, if you ignore shadows on a pattern, it can take away from the realism. But also, if you try to make up shadows that aren't there, it can be off, because you have to take in mind where the light source is coming from. Obviously here with the shadow being on the left, the light's coming from this direction, or actually, this direction. So if I were to invent shadows, I would have to be consistent. Everything that's casting a shadow would have to be going the same side of everything. Lawrence Aldridge says, we'll check back later, guys. Ta-ta. Ta-ta, Lawrence. Sorry to hear that. Russ Meadows says, still buffering. Dennis Goodson says, great show. The wife is calling. Be back later if you're still going. No, I am not. I don't know what the no, I am not part is about, but I appreciate you watching, Dennis. Hopefully you'll be back. If not, I won't punish you or nothing. Aussie Man says, well, if you picture a really fat, big, gray-haired guy, Aussie, you got me. That's what I was picturing. Yeah. Hope to see you again, Dennis, but it's not mandatory. It's always good having you here. Okay. Now, this is probably a strap going down here, but it looks kind of funny. I think it would translate funny, so I'm going to ignore that strap shadow or whatever that is. So I'm just going to do the shadow back there, but not the strap itself. It just looks out of place. I don't think it would translate right. And I'm just now seeing more tail detail back here. I don't know why I didn't see that before. It might be a partial shadow too, but okay, so we got that. All right. Even if I only had 2 or 3 people watching, I'd still be doing this because it's fun to do, dag nabbit. And if I can help, I sound like a commercial and, Mr. Rogers kind of thing, but if I can help even just a couple people on each one of these live streams, then it's worth it to me. The being goofy and entertainment is for my benefit, but if that keeps people around too, I think that's probably what has run some people off, but that's all right. Everybody has to like the Charlie Man or the Scroll Man, if you ask. I'll see. Okay. I'm a Scroll Man. We've had some memory making live streams, haven't we? I've even had practically karaoke going on live streams before. People talking about songs, and I just wanted to sing, and not all that good, but it was fun. I was going to make that a separate cut, but we'll just add that. And now, I don't know how well y'all can see that line there, but it's a continuation of this line, which is basically just a neck muscle crease. We don't want to go all the way down with it, or that'll be a floater there, so we're just going to suggest part of it. And I might even shorten that a little bit. Anthony Campbell says, won't you be our scroller? That's funny right there. Josh Grover says, you're giving some good pointers for making patterns. Thank you, sir. That's what I try to do. So I'm glad that that's coming through, because between my mind and my mouth, it doesn't always come out the way I plan it. So thank you for that feedback. That means a great deal. That's why I do these. Mac Pierce says, Charles, being yourself is the only way to go. If people don't like it, then they don't like it. Never can please everyone anyways. Amen. Yeah, I found that on Facebook today. Post a little innocent, what I thought was funny picture. Some folks got butt hurt. It happens. Anthony Campbell says, Bill, you're going to have to make sure to post it or something so that we can see it when you get cut. Yeah, Awesome Man doesn't love us enough to have Facebook, so he'll have to post it on YouTube, and you all have to subscribe to him in order to see it. I've begged Awesome Man to get a Facebook. He doesn't love us, though, so we just have to accept that, I guess. It has been too long. I'm getting caught in mouth, so let's take a drink. Mac Pierce says, yeah, that picture gave me a good laugh, Charles. It gave me a good laugh, too, but my God, some people overanalyzed it. Yes, technically the picture is body shaming, but that wasn't the purpose of the picture. It was, I'm not even going to get into it. I posted it in a group as well as my personal profile. The group I posted it in was All Things Scroll Saw and Bandsaw. A few people got upset. One got banned, 2 left on their own. But that's all right. I'm not for everybody. I'm not going to shame them. The only person I wanted to shame was the one that cussed at me and says, I don't want to insult you, but you're an idiot. And that was his exact words. Yeah, you don't want to insult me, but I'm an idiot. Okay, yeah, put that together there, Sparky. But I just said, okay, have a nice day or something like that. And I can't say what I said because I'm trying to be family friendly here. But yeah, even on Facebook I cussed because I'm human. There's that. Scroll saw shaming. Rush the Meadows. That's funny right there. Well, also, man, can you tell us who that friend on Facebook is? Hopefully I'm friends with him and haven't gotten in an argument with him. There's a couple of Australians I've gotten in an argument with. And Mac Pierce says, the people getting butthurt gave me a good laugh too. And I even analyzed it as much as they did. And I said, okay, if we want to analyze this picture, I can't, doesn't mean much if you don't know what picture I'm talking about. But they were talking about body shaming. Long story short, girl on the far left was short and slightly pudgy. And the word Harbor Freight was there to signify Harbor Freight scroll saws. And the other two were a Seiko and Hegner label put over two stereotypical model-looking women. And that was where everybody got the body shaming from. But it was about the humor of, just the obvious humor. It was not about body shaming. The picture may have been created for that reason, but I only added the labels of the names of the scroll saws. But I said, okay, if we're going to analyze this, let's look at it from the other side. The girl that was short and a little bit pudgy had a smile on her face, meaning she's happy with who she is. And yes, I'm getting philosophical here, but if people wanted to analyze that picture, by God, this is how you do it. She was smiling, okay with who she is. The stereotypical model girls had snobby looks on their faces and, scowling at the girl that was short and pudgy. So that says more about them than it does the short and pudgy girl. But yeah, people wanted to see what they wanted to see, but I analyzed it from the other side, and there you go. God. I have never posted anything for the purpose of offending anybody. I do have to care how I act to a degree because I'm trying to sell patterns here, and if I'm a total butt monkey, I can't do business. Yeah, I was not expecting that backlash. But there again, 20 people can post something, and if I post it, a bunch of people get butthurt. Anyway, Harnell Media said, would have been better if you'd left out the I don't want to insult you. Oh, if he had left out the I don't want to insult you. Well, no, but it made it funnier. It made it funnier when he said, I don't want to insult you, but here's an insult. That was the humor in it. It was the fact that he said, I don't want to insult you, and then insulted me. But, if you saw the post, I made light of it. I didn't get mad by any means. I just responded, let him see it, and then banned him. Well, that's a different kind of monkey, Mac. Okay, we got that blaze going down here, so I'm going to connect it to the blinder and strap. So there's that. I know I actually got back on topic. Sorry about that. My friend's name on Bookface is Charles Daring. Oh, okay. Sorry, that went right over my head. Also, man says he's going to email me a picture, and he said I could post it on Facebook. Is it okay if I give your first and last name for credit, or you just want me to say Aussie Man? Harnell Media says I saw it. Anthony Campbell says LOL Bill. Russ Meadows says he did it that way because of the way Charles worded his. Yeah. But, it's like somebody says, well, if you have to say I'm not going to insult you, but I specifically knew that it could have been taken as body shaming. That's why I said this is not meant as body shaming. That was specifically why I added those words. But yeah, people going to say what they want to say, by God. I am not a body shamer, and if I don't have the room to body shame because I'm no model. I don't even know if I can model socks, if I'm being honest with myself. Come on now. I'm not a body shamer. Go with Aussie Man, okay? Bruce Meadow says, I think the body shaming came from other people, if I remember right. Yep. But if we're being honest, the picture technically by definition was body shaming, because the less, society-driven attractive girl was the frumpy one. But yeah, I could see both sides. I just didn't understand people overanalyzing it and freaking out over it. I should have known. Our new media says, "Don't worry, I won't preface my insults." Well, if we're being honest, when you do a hashtag, that's that you are prefacing your insults. Just saying. Okay, the mouth doesn't show up real good on this horse, but something's going on in that mouth area. But I also don't want to mess it up, so I think I'm just gonna wing it on that one. That's gonna be a gamble. I don't know how to do that one. Did too much of a bottom lip there. He has an underbite. Anyway, Josh Grover says, hashtag. Anthony Campbell says, morons are all over the place, Charles. Yes, sir. And you're watching one of them right now, but I'm proud to be one. By God, let's do it. And that's not me dogging myself. That's me having a sense of humor, by God. Anybody that knows me has to have a sense of humor, and y'all probably figured that out by now. That is not a secret. There's a little cluster here of the shadow detail on this horse's nose, but it's too blurry to make it out, so I'm just going to generalize that detail. So yes, that's not a bribe, but if anybody wants to see the picture, the picture that Aussie Man sends me, you will have to be friends with me on Facebook, I think. I might be set to public, but yeah. I think I just hit 3,046 friends and followers on Facebook. That's pretty cool. Never dreamed that would happen. Still losing subscribers, but that's all right. Not everybody likes the Charlie Man. That is utterly okay. I was never real popular with women, and I don't have to be popular with men either. Not in the same context, of course. Contrary to popular belief, I am not a sexy man, but by God, I'm funny. And to some people, that's sexy. And I know how to vacuum. Oh yeah, there you go, ladies. A man that can vacuum. Josh Gruber says, "How are you going to wing it when there's no wings on the horse?" You're a goober, Josh. Love you, but you're a goober. That would be a Pegasus. Hello. I think one of the funniest trollings I ever got when that movie Passion of the Christ came out. There was some kind of poster or something. I made a Jesus pattern out of it, and this was on a website called Lumberjocks. This was years ago. It's probably one of the funnest things where I got back on at somebody just overthinking something. But I did a pattern based off of the poster or some kind of picture. It may not have even been Passion of the Christ. It might have been Nazareth or something like that. But anyways, it was a picture of Jesus, and I made a pattern out of it. And the guy said, "That's not Jesus. That's some actor portraying Jesus." And I sat there for a second thinking, "Holy crap!" And I wrote to him and said, "Okay, yeah, you got me. I tried to call Jesus to set up a photo shoot, but he never got back with me." Can you believe this guy said, "That's not Jesus. That's an actor"? Nobody has seen a picture of Jesus. Come on, Cletus. You just can't fix stupid. But you can muffle it. Yeah, that was one of the funnier moments in my history of dealing with people that take things too literally. Yep. Tried to arrange a photo shoot with old Jesus, and he was a little busy. He didn't get back with me. So I had to rely on an actor. Tell him to kiss it. By God. Yeah, that was funny. That I still have that screen capture saved somewhere, but that was funny. Yeah. Always get Jesus' permission before you do a pattern of him. But if you can get a photo shoot with Jesus, then you got powers I don't. Yeah, that was probably one of the funniest trollings I've ever dealt with. Yeah. Some days I'm bothered by things, but you got to laugh at that, by God. If that whistling is too ear piercing, I apologize, because I don't always think of these things until afterwards. If anybody has any questions regarding scrolling or pattern making, please feel free to throw them out there. It does not make you stupid. We all learn somehow, some way, and sometime. It is all right. And just for giggles, I'm going to make sure YouTube's not holding me for a review, but let's not be shocked if it happens. Nope, not held for review yet. Wow. Wow. But I have lost a subscriber. It must have been one of the butthurt people about body shaming. That's right. That's all right. Okay, let's do this. We're getting back towards the lesser detailed parts or less visible parts, but we're going to keep going. Then I'll do the background stuff. Josh Grover says, getting thirsty over here waiting on a blade break. Well, I can't think of anything over here to break. If I break the ballpoint pen, then that's some serious pressure right there. And dang if I don't have a single blade in here to break for you. Well, just have a drinking game every time I say by golly, because I tend to say that more than once. Of course, watch me by accident not even say it. But anyway, yeah. By the way, if you're ever working, I just happen to glance over here and see it. If you're ever working with things and you can get away with templates or straight edges, do that. I have circle ones because, if you want something perfectly round, there you go. I happen to see those. That's why I brought it up. I don't even remember how I got them, but yeah, it's cool. Like when I'm doing eyes on a cartoon character, that kind of stuff, if you want to make sure it looks round, trace something round. By God. Now, any pausing I'm doing right now is determining where I want to go next. See the Stagecoach scene is so dusty that you can practically see the dust. Watch. Look at that smoke screen there. That was just funny. I'm kidding. That was third grade entertainment. Now we're going to do the main on this horse. See how I just jump right in from the train wreck to the detail. Get people back on track here. And the only way we can tell that there's 6 horses on this Stagecoach is because you see the 3 on the left side here. That's how we know there's 6 horses unless one of them done run off. But we'll just assume. A little bit of weak humor there. Hey, work with me. Determining where I want to go next. I know that part of this is a bar on the hitch portion of the thing, but I'm trying to figure out what that is. I don't know if that's straps or a tail or what. I may leave that out too and just go with the horse's legs and that bar right there. Some of it I can't even tell what it is, but if I think it'll translate funny, I'll leave it out. And anybody keeping track, I am on day 7 of steroids. I still have a swollen face, but that's all right. I'm still funnier than I'll get out, I tell you what. Josh Grover says a robber stole back the horse, by God. Well, we got 2 horses back here and another one back there. Yeah. Well, but, our brains, if they're working, tell us that there's another horse out of view. But anyway. Not everybody's brain is working, so sometimes you got to explain things. That's all right. Yeah. A little bit of shadow back here. It may not translate right, but we're going to go with it. Any pattern I ever do for anybody, if they want to make changes to it to make it look better to them, by God, go with it. I'm going to break this up a little bit because it is shadows mixed in with dust. So I'm just going to break it up a little bit. And Josh Grover is going with the same thing I said. And when do our brains work? Brains, are those required? Heck no, they're not, by God. If Charlie can do it, we can all do it. Yes, I'm dogging myself, but it's all right. I know that there's a plant here interrupting the shadows, so I'm just kind of suggesting it more than it actually shows. It's probably uber detail right there. I'm kidding. I used to draw back before I started doing patterns. I don't know how much that plays into things. It'd probably be easier for other people to translate, where that overlaps than me, because, maybe it's me noticing shadows and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. So it's up to the viewer as to what they think I might have got gleaned from my drawing days. Okay, we have the wagon wheel, or the stagecoach wheel, coming in front of some of that shadow. And we still have more chaotic dust here, or shadows. Mac Pierce says, "Whew, I thought I was in trouble there for a minute, Charles. By God." We're all a little bit troubled if we can sit through all these live streams with me, but that's all right. We wear it as a badge of honor. All right. I'm not gonna be able to do a whole lot of detail on this back horse because I just can't make out some of it. I'm gonna trace what I can see and hope it works out for the best. I guess that's the horse's eye there. It's hard to tell, but it's there, so I'll add it. And some of this horse is going to be in front of that stagecoach, obviously, so I'm going to have to make little separations in there so the horse doesn't get lost inside of the stagecoach detail. Mac Pierce says, "We need shirts that say I decided Charles doing live streams, by God." And somebody out there is going to come up with one. Well, that would be a conversation starter. Steve Nealon, if you're still listening, if you want to do that. I survived Charles during live streams. And I should wear one because I'm surviving them too. I have to deal with me every day, all day. So y'all are getting off easy, by God. But I like me. Sometimes. Now there are some rains here and stuff. I don't know how much I can suggest them any more than just what I see, but yeah, there's a lot of chaos in there, but we'll make it work. I survived the Charles during live stream. That's funny right there. And we need to make a version for the haters and say, I survived it, but I unsubscribed. They weren't funny. That's funny right there, I tell you what. And if you don't think it is, if you want to subscribe, you're welcome to. You can even give me 20 thumbs downs. I don't much care. I care, but I'm not going to change doing these live streams and being less than mature. That is fine. But I do think it's more sense of humor than lack of maturity, but it depends on who you talk to. Yeah, the haters wouldn't buy it. That's true. Unless they're so ignorant that they want to do it for the hating and not realizing they're making a profit by buying it. Yeah. Dennis Goodson says he has a scroll-on cap. I forgot. He is one of the people that has bought a scroll-on cap. I believe Ken McCrory bought a scroll-on T-shirt. Yeah, thank you for that segue there, Dennis. I owe you some money now. I'm kidding. Yeah, I do have scroll-on coffee cups, T-shirts, caps. By God. We can even get some scroll-on undie drawers if you want them. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just trying to be funny, but I'm pretty sure we could. I just don't want y'all modeling those undie drawers that say scroll-on them, unless, of course, you're gorgeous. I'm going to stop there because I don't always stop when I should, but I'm going to start now. Undie drawers. That's funny right there. Come on now. Who doesn't want some scroll-on panties? Come here, Betty Sue. I got you some underbreeches. That's some serious dedication right there if you buy some scroll-on underwear. I'm just throwing that out there. But please don't send me pictures, please. That's a little funny. Well, we could always send the haters scroll-on toilet paper. I need to not get into too much detail on the haters and what they can do. Josh Grover says TMI. Hey, that's not TMI. That's too much humor, not too much information. We can do scroll-on temporary tattoos. Yeah, dude. Their marketing is so endless. We could have little scroll-on action figures. Okay. Awesome Man says he sent me the email. Thank you, sir. Scroll-on action figure. That's funny right there. The only action this action figure can do is point. And you pull a little string and it says, kiss it or scroll on. Oh, Lord. The possibilities are endless. Yes, I'm laughing at myself because I think that's freaking funny. Scroll on, kiss it, dag nabbit. We can do all kinds of little pull string quotes. I guarantee you, if I know Steve Neal and his brain, his wheels are turning trying to think of more insults to add on the pull string thing. Oh, Babylon Monkey, since I don't really say that, but I do. Never mind. Okay, get back on topic, Charlie. Yeah, like we ever stay on topic. Come on now. But some people talk so much smack they need preparation H for lipstick. I'm just going to throw that out there. It would be funny to say that I had, some of these little toys I'm talking about, but no, it's not worth putting money into it. Obviously, I know that. But it's fun dreaming up ideas like that, I tell you what. Full string. Yeah, all right. But since I talked about woodenvisions.com, there are caps t-shirts. There really are. Caps and t-shirts that say scroll on them. There are coffee mugs. There are beanies, what you call them, bucket hats or floppy hats, depending on where you're from, what you want to call it. There are 5 downloadable instructional scroll saw pattern videos that have different themes, so that's why there's more than one. One of them is vehicles and portrait type stuff, and we have somewhere around 1,700 scroll saw pattern, and we have 14 ebooks. There's just something for everyone, except for the stuff you don't need. A lot of this detail on the Stagecoach is going to be made up because I have no idea some of what I'm looking at. Awesome Man says, look like you'll have to do some creative artwork in some of the blurry areas, Charles. Yes, sir, I will, but I'm going to do my darndest, and I know you know that, or you wouldn't have hired me. I don't know what I'm going to do in here, but I'm just going to go with what I see rather than trying to figure it out. But yeah, I can see probably better than y'all can on the wheels here. But I'll do my best, and I know you know that, or you wouldn't have gone with me. So nobody wants any scroll-on underwear? Just, market research there. offended by that. Happy till not once scroll on underwear. I mean, that's commitment right there, or at least a reason to be committed. Josh Gerber says, also, man, better watch out for Penelope in the pattern. We'll see. We could add a squished rabbit over here somewhere in the background, I guess. Now, also, man, I'll tell you now, this detail down here, I can suggest it, but it's pretty darn blurry. But yeah, I don't want to do overkill either, but I'll add that in there. Okay. Scroll on the underwear. That's, reaching new lows there, by God. But, whatever works. Mac Pierce says, Charles, how about a rabbit in the clouds? Y'all have issues. Just saying. I thought I was mature. Yeah, they're fun issues. Yep. A lot of people want to cancel their subscription to my issues, but that's all right. I'm going to do a little thinking and smoking and drinking. Thinking, smoking, and drinking. That's a country song right there. Don't smoke, kids. Scrolled underwear, bit splintery, bending, walking, moving. That's funny right there. Dagnabbit. So much for good selling points. Y'all bear with me. I'm going to take a little bit of a physical and mental stretch here in my chair. And a drink. Leonard Davis says, I'm at my day's end. I will catch up with all of you later. Appreciate you being here, Leonard. Sorry if I ran you off with the underwear talk. Yeah, I can send you some mental bleach. Mac Pierce says, I got a lifetime subscription here, Charles. He means subscription to my issues. But you have to explain it. I'm not going to repeat that, Mac, but it was funny. It's not offensive. I just, don't want to take any chances. Family friendly. Yeah, some of this stuff is hidden, but I know that this is probably an axle on the Stagecoach, so I'm going to suggest it. But not too much. We don't want to crowd it and make it all brittle. That's a little crooked, but we'll straighten it up. All right. All right. Lord, there's a lot of detail in here, but it's all right. It's all right. I've just got to figure out what the heck to do with what. All right, we'll go ahead and do the. Now, although the wagon wheel, the front of that is got light shining off of it, I'm going to treat it as a cutout, just to better suggest the shape of the detail where we're working. Put that little bar on the hitch portion of the, I don't know the terminology on Stagecoach setups. That little bar goes in front of it, so that will help break it up. And we can go ahead and add it to that detail. It's a little fat there. Hopefully I'll remember to thin that down. If not, Now, by adding those lines off to the side there, that enforces the fact that there's a bar going in front of the wagon wheel. For whatever that matters to anybody. I'm explaining why I'm doing what I'm doing. And we want to be careful on the detail of these spokes here, because if we get too chaotic, they fall apart. But we'll figure it out. All right. There's either a lag between YouTube and StreamYard, or y'all done got all quiet on me. Or both. All right. Yeah, when I have these live streams going, only thing I'm looking at is StreamYard. I'm not on Facebook or YouTube looking at the actual watch pages. So if there's a lag, when I say it, I'll say it. Otherwise, if you're wondering why I'm not responding, that would be why. And that's not the sky showing through. That's a guy holding a gun, I can tell. So I'm going to do that. Not a real detailed gun, but it's there. It's one of them rolled up leather curtain looking thingies on a Stagecoach. I only know that from looking at pictures of Stagecoaches. So knowing what it is can help, but not always. Yeah, Josh, rough him up a little bit, wake him up. Isn't he the one that usually falls asleep during these things? And no matter how long you choose to work on trying to make patterns, you're gonna make mistakes. You saw me yesterday. I mean, it's not a foolproof thing. Some judgment calls go good, some don't go good at all. That's why we have divorce in America. Oh yeah, I said it. Well, all over the world actually. And that's that lantern everybody talks about on a Stagecoach. So I included it, by God. Somebody's arm is sticking out of the door window on the Stagecoach holding that gun. Not enough broken blades, I hear you. Some of this detail is being made up that I'm about to do because I can't really make out anything there. I don't know if I'll even add detail in there because I can't really make out anything there, and I don't want it to look stupid. But we do want to suggest the other side of the wagon wheel. And so we did that. For some reason, I'm procrastinating on doing those wheels, but I know I need to do them at some point because it will look a little funny without wheels on the Stagecoach. Wheels on the Stagecoach go around and okay, yeah, we're gonna stop there. Lordy, lordy, lordy. I'm going with detail I can see right now rather than trying to guess what's what. Because sometimes that helps, not all the time. And believe it or not, you keep seeing me turn the picture. It's that visual comfort, just like when I'm cutting. If I'm doing a straight line, I want to pull it towards me. Anyway. There's a whole lot of guesswork in here. I'm tracing what I see, but I'm also trying to decipher what it is as I'm tracing it. Because that's how my mind works. And that looks to be one of the boots on the guy. But it's also casting a shadow, so we're going to go with that. There's a lot of guessing going on right now. Honestly, man says, yeah, it's not a Back to the Future hover Stagecoach. That's why we need to include the wheels. Details, details. And there is a benefit to knowing what you're tracing if it helps you to invent detail, but not all of this I know what it is. Some of it I do, some of it I don't. I'm just going off some of it. I'm going off memory of seeing how stagecoaches look, but I don't have a lot of experience with stagecoaches. I am from present day, not the past, although I would love to have an actual stagecoach. Well, right now it's a sled. It will be a stagecoach. And a lot of times patterns are more able to be deciphered if you can see the photograph being worked from. That's one advantage to doing these videos, but it's also a test of your pattern making skills. If people can't tell what the picture is when you're done, then that means either the picture was crappy or the pattern's crappy or both. Also, man says, this is where your expertise would come in, Charles, guessing the detail. Well, good, sir. I appreciate that. Okay. As y'all can see, this is not a quick process. And besides the fact that I'm talking, we're already at, 2 hours, 15 minutes almost. Da-da-da. We'll just jump around, do the barrel of a gun here, try to keep it straight because it is the barrel of a gun. Or rifle, okay. But he's double gripping that rifle, so we want to suggest his hand being on there. As you can see, that's a very highly detailed rifle. A little bit of sarcasm there. Okay, a lot of guesswork coming up here. But we know these guys probably have faces. I've heard the headless horseman, but not the faceless stagecoach. Anyway. And for those that don't know, a little bit of useless trivia, and I'm not trying to be funny. When you hear people talking about riding shotgun, that's where it came from. You have somebody protecting the stagecoach holding a shotgun. That is literally where that came from. I have to stick with a trigger on it, by God, Josh. Yeah, so that's where, people talk about riding shotgun. That is where that came from. Is the guy on the stagecoach that protecting it with a shotgun while the other guy is driving it. And we have different levels of shadows in here. We have shadows on his sleeve, but there's also other shadows, so we're going to break it up just a little bit. Not mandatory, but since I see it, I'm doing it. And we get that shoulder shadow over there, but we also have his arm, so I'm going to use the shoulder shadow, add a line to it to suggest his arm and part of his hand. Oh, diddly. And I can tell vaguely that he has a mustache. I don't know how well I'll be able to get that in there. I think both guys have mustaches. And he's wearing a bandana. And that bandana is blowing in the wind. Because they're going a little bit fast. Don't want to get robbed. Not the most detailed bandana out there. Mac Pierce says, I always thought a rifle would have been better than a shotgun, but at first I couldn't figure out what I'm tracing right now, but it's the little bit of the stagecoach is showing behind on the other side of his leg, and that's probably something on the top of it. And so there's that. Okay, we got some rain showing here in front of the black part of the stagecoach. We're going to suggest that as best we can. And any pattern you ever get from me, if an area looks too narrow, make it thicker if you want to, but yeah. I go by what I see, but sometimes I don't get it right. You have no idea how much guesswork I'm doing right now on what things are, but it's okay. Bossy Man brings up a very good point. Says too hard to hit anything while bouncing around on a stagecoach for a rifle. That's why we use a shotgun, because it has a bunch of little pellets to go pew pew and hurt your butt, or whatever's being aimed at. He didn't say all that extra detail. That's just how I roll. Josh Grover says Penelope is driving the stagecoach. That's funny right there. No, Penelope done got run over a few miles back. But sorry, I didn't want to bring that up because I didn't want to bring the chat down. But yeah. Or it was actually one of Penelope's ancestors, if we're being accurate. Penelope we saw a few days ago. Okay, a little too much detail on that weird story, but okay. I can tell he's wearing a vest, but I can't make out all the details. I'm just tracing what I can see. And his head is casting a shadow onto his chest. That guy's holding a gun. I wouldn't tell him his name was Penelope. I'm just saying, a little advice there. And when I'm doing a custom pattern, I don't try to get permission from the artist because it's for a private individual, and it's up to that person to get permission. In my opinion, I could be legally wrong, but I don't know. I know you have to ask Russ. He's the one that put her there. Hopefully, he's still taking care of her and sending her cards and letters and visiting her. I have no idea. Russ is the one that put her there, man. Just had to have them cookies. And Christmas trees, I think, is what put her in critical condition. Yeah. Tracy Keaton says, hello. Hello, Tracy. She probably didn't say it like that because she's more mature than I am, but Mac Pierce said something about a coma, I believe it was, Josh. Yes. Yep. Sometimes you have to add detail just to give a place for the pilot hole, which is what I'm doing on the roof of this, not the roof, the lid of this chest. No, not Russ's wife. It was one of my little attempts at making Russ Meadows laugh. Penelope is a rabbit. It's a weird story. Not even worth explaining. But yeah, no, nothing's wrong with his wife. There's no actual people in the hospital for animals. It was just a weird joke I ran with one night, and it kind of took off because that's how we scroll. Keep up, Tracy. I'm just kidding. Okay. Little inspiration drink. We're getting there, folks. For the paper portion, I will be doing the computer portion after this. But the rabbit is in the coma, but it's all part of the joke. There's nobody actually in a coma. Long story short, we squeezed a rabbit to get chocolate chips for cookies, and that rabbit is now in a coma. But that was all a joke. It's not actually, nobody actually abused a rabbit. It was, pure humor, attempt at humor anyway. Sorry if I scared you. And believe it or not, some of this may come together better once I pull the paper off and you see the pattern drawn, but also once it's colored in. But the way all these different lights and darks that I'm wrestling with, it may actually come out better once I pull the paper off here. And Josh is telling Tracy that she's behind the times, but not everybody can sit through this train wreck, so I get her not understanding what we were talking about. But I'm glad we cleared it up so she's not stressing over thinking somebody's actually hurt. Okay, we got this hat here with the front flopping up because of the wind. There's Good video area for a pilot hole. A lot of guesswork here. I know he's wearing a hat, but as far as detail, we're guessing a lot. Okay, Russ Meadows is in the chat. He says, I've been visiting her in the hospital, still in a coma. And Stacey Keaton says, I see, that's her tolerating our childishness. Okay, and we know this guy probably has an eye. I can tell there's one there, but it may have to be practically a dot. Or I can edit. That's what I can do. He looks to have a bushy mustache, so I'm going to do that bushy mustache. And then we'll do the nose line, and that's where the eye will be attached to. No, that's going to look like crap. I can tell what I'm looking at, but it's hard to make it go. So, Austin, man, it's up to you how you want to deal with that, but I think that'll work. I'm going to bring it up a little closer. I just really did. The pilot hole would be in the mustache, and you just have the bridge of the nose and an eye. That's the best I could do. You're welcome to say a prayer for our imaginary rabbit. Josh Grover says, yeah, if it didn't clear it up, Tracy would turn us all in for cruelty. Well, no, it'd only be Russ. He's the one that squeezed it. Just to rub it. Yeah, so Bill, if you're watching, hopefully, well, you know, you've been scrolling long enough, you know where to put a pilot hole. But you might want some micro bits, but if you are doing it life size, you can do a regular drill bit. And so that no rumors get started, we don't joke about hurting animals here. It was all a little funny story about making chocolate chip cookies by squeezing a rabbit. Please don't overanalyze it. And I'm not trying to insult anybody, but I did a harmless joke on Facebook, and it took off, and a lot of hurting buttocks out there. Lord, please watch over Penelope if she gets over the trauma. Russ Meadows, thanks for the thoughts, though, Tracy. Josh Grover says, don't make the guy on the Stagecoach look like Charles. Hey, now. We want it to look just like me, and I have no idea what to do with this guy's face. I mean, there's like almost nothing to work with there. I'll just put a mustache there, and we'll know he has a face. We'll go off of that. Just bear with me. I'll say, man, I'm sorry, I can't see nothing here. But I'll make it a bushy mustache so that you have somewhere to put the pilot hole. Well, that's uber detail right there, I tell you what. Yeah. All right. We're almost done with the hard parts. I got to do something here in this area, and yes, I know I haven't done the wheels yet. Yeah, Aussie Man says, we'll work out with pilot holes. Yep. So, yeah, I gave you a mustache to work off of, but obviously, you know, it's not going to be real detailed. And per the usual, nature is calling, and I apologize. I do have to get up for about 30 seconds. I'll be right back. Y'all behave. If not, Russ Meadows, keep him in line. Perhaps a beard. I don't know if there's enough room, but I'll try. Just a sec. I'm plumb sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to leave when you came back. It just worked out that way. Honestly, also, man, I don't know how I can incorporate a beard. I did add a little mark to suggest his chin. Hopefully that helps. But there really isn't much area to work with there. Chocolate pellets. Alrighty then. Gotta think of what to do next. Don't want to forget anything either. Obviously, I know the wheels need to be done. I'm just looking in this general area to make sure I've traced everything I want to trace. Okay, let's just get here on the wheels. Now, only part of that stagecoach is behind the wheels, so we can't trace, in between every spoke because it wouldn't look right. Well, I guess we could, but yeah. All right. I want to add detail on the side of that stagecoach, but I just can't see anything. It just seems too empty, but I guess if we can have one area without detail on it. Okay. Gotta be careful here because we don't want to make it too brittle. But if I do, I'll try to clean it up in the computer portion. See, I want to suggest the spokes in there, but if I try to color it in completely like these two triangles here, it won't look right because I don't know. I'm trying to think of it, but I can't get the words right. And I don't want to screw up the wheels, but if I screw it up with pen, I'll try to fix it on the computer. That's the little hub thing, so we'll make some spokes coming off of that. To suggest the spokes, it's not going to be perfect because I really can't see much at all, but we're going to do our best. That's very generic, but I don't know how else to do it, but we got to cast a shadow for a pilot hole. I'm really not entirely happy with that, but okay, I think what I'll do is just widen the triangle over here to kind of balance it out. Whatever works, I'm not sure. Yeah, if you're talking about this robber being shot here, again, I know somebody's falling off their horse, but the best I can do is trace what I see. I know what you're saying, but yeah, it's again, if we weren't seeing it as a painting, I don't know if it would translate well, but I'm going to trace what I see and just hope it works. I'm not even entirely sure which direction he's at. There's a lot of stuff going on there. I think that's his head and that's his arms and that's one of his legs, but I don't know what all this in here is, but that's his hat floating in the air. But anyway. And I didn't realize how troublesome these wagon wheels would be, or stagecoach wheels. I may have to color in all those triangles. No, let's keep it like it looks. Yeah, I hate to say it, but these wagon wheels are going to be chaotic if I'm not careful. Although they are already chaotic, but yeah. We do have that hub that helps us hide some of the detail. And it's kind of cool having the customer that wants the pattern right here with me while I'm doing it because they can give feedback and preferences and I can explain why I can either do or not do what they're wanting. But if enough potential future customers see this video, then they'll know what, my thought process is. I'm doing things. Ladies and gentlemen, attempt number, 3? Hello, Russ. Oh, okay, that went well. He probably just X'd out, and he's probably really mad. It looked like it was lagging a little bit, but he does not look happy. Sorry, Russ. Okay. I'm doing my best here, Bill. I know you know that, but man, this is a little bit of a booger to work with. I feel so bad for Russ. He's a good guy. He don't deserve all this stress trying to get on the live stream, by God. Right about now, he might have his computer hanging out the window. I really want to get more detail out of that wheel, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Well, we could tell it's a Stagecoach wheel, though. That's a plus. Yeah, I'm afraid that's the best I can do with that one, Bill. This other one's going to be even harder because it's further back. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Wow, there's so much chaos in there. Trying to make it out is pretty difficult. A lot of shadows being cast. But they're very faint shadows. That's why I'm jumping around, is I'm trying to pick and choose detail and hoping it kind of ties in together at some point in a translatable way. Now, even for somebody that doesn't design patterns, you know that, a wagon wheel has spokes. So that's an idea of knowing what you're working with will help. So I'm inventing some detail here just to make it look more like spokes than it actually looks like in the painting. I may either fail or succeed at it, but we're probably having better luck on the back one than we did on the front one. But I trust Bill's judgment of me and what I'm doing enough to I think he'll be okay with this, but he'll let us know if he's not. I'm not upset with this because I think we're doing okay with what we have to work with. I think we're going to be okay here. But I do want to suggest the back of that wagon wheel so it doesn't look like it's 20 feet thick. So I'm going to pull that shadow back there closer to work off of when I'm doing the back of the wheel here. So I think we're okay here on the spokes. Yeah, could be better, but yeah. Mama Bear says, can't wait to see how this turns out. I'm curious as to how it will come out. I truly hope you send in the picture or something after it's finished. I'll leave you so you can get more concise feedback. You don't have to leave, but yeah, I appreciate the feedback. Bossy Man says he sent me an email with close-ups, and all due respect, Bill, I know that we're working with wagon wheels here, and I have looked at it close up on my computer. I hope that doesn't mean you're not happy with the spokes here, but I think the suggestion of spokes kind of adds the detail there as well. I'm not dismissing that you sent me an email. But also, if I go to check my email right now, it'll slow down the computer, and we'll probably have a lagging, whatchamacallit here. But I think we can make this work. I truly do. I hope you agree, because you can tell it's wagon wheels, I think. Or maybe I'm biased. We didn't want to do that cowboy in the back. There's a little bit of his face showing, but not much. So I'm just going to go with what I can see. And thank you for that feedback, by the way, Tracy. Oh, I know you were trying to help, Bill. I didn't mean to imply otherwise. I just hope you don't think I'm dismissing you're trying to help. And on here, I'm tracing what I see because I can't really make out what a lot of things are. I just know that there's a cowboy back there. I can tell by the shape that he's holding a rifle, so that's what we're doing now. But we know he has arms, even though I can't really see him. I'm going to do that to, make it look more like a person back there. But after, below where I'm working on right now, it's hard to make anything out, so I'm just tracing what I see. That's probably the horse, mane and head, but kind of hard to tell. And the rest of it's getting lost in dust, so all we need to do to suggest that dust is just do a squiggly line of some kind, and it kind of lets the viewer know, it's not all going to show. It may or may not translate well, but that's what we have to work with. Now, since I believe this is a horse, I'm going to pull a line down here to kind of suggest the shape of the horse's head. You can leave that line out if you want to. I just wanted to try to make it look more like a horse, but I don't know that it helped any. And you wanted the stuff back here, so yeah, let me go ahead and get some of this done. This is just prickly pears, and I've seen enough of those that I'm just going to wing it as far as detail goes. I mean, we know this isn't the focus of the picture, but it is in the picture, and we want it to look like the picture. Just vegetation around it, too. Just trying to balance that out. On some of these, I'm tracing the actual prickly pear, and other ones I'm doing the shadows between them. It kind of helps suggest the detail. And a lot of it is guesswork. I'm just basing it on having seen prickly pears before. But part of it is just tracing what I see and then hoping that it translates well. And on some of these, we're doing the shadows between the grass or whatever form of vegetation that is. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, Josh. Josh is saying it needs that vegetation because otherwise it would have a big area blank. Agreed. That's why I'm including it. Dennis Goodson says, Aussie man Charles, here's a Texas good night. Buenos noches. Catch you later. Hasta la vista, homie. Appreciate you being here. I have gotten to meet Dennis Goodson at the DFW Scrollers meetup. That was cool. Yeah, there's a lot of guesswork in here, but that's all right. It's part of the process. Some of these are just tufts of grass, so we're just going to suggest that more with inventing shadows and a little bit of dimension, hopefully. I'm so guessing a lot in this area, but all right. because not all of this is prickly pears. But yeah, I completely agree. You want to add something down here, but if you want to stay true to the photograph, if there wasn't anything there, you don't have to put anything there. But yeah, it helps that we have something to work with. It balances the picture out, and that's probably what the artist was thinking when they painted it. I don't know. I wasn't there. Almost done with that because there's not a whole lot to work with. We're just suggesting tufts of grass here. More than there actually is. I'm just, trying to make it a little more pronounced. It's all good. Draw, scroll man, draw. I'm doing my best, mister. In your email, did you send me a selfie of what you look like, Bill? I gotta know who I'm messing with every time I mess with you. I know I won't share that picture. Josh Grover says, when you do custom patterns, do you shade the areas before you send it to the customer, or does the customer have to figure it out? I always color it in so they will know what it will look like. Very good question. I didn't think to mention that. Yes, I always color it in. That way there's never any guesswork on what's being cut out. Very good question. Almost done with the little vegetation down here. Not being real careful because we know it's just vegetation. It's not like it has to look like somebody. But I'm generally going off of what I see, but kind of inventing part of it. Alice Van actually sent me a picture. He said it's half old, or a half hour. The picture's only a half hour old? Oh, I guess you're just basically generalizing that the picture is old. I have no clue what you're trying to say because my brain cells are colliding, but we'll work with it. If I didn't care so much about your privacy, I'd show everybody what you look like so they had a picture to go off of, but yeah, no need. Don't want to do too much overkill on this vegetation. We want to fill in that area, but we are trying to stay true to the picture, even though I'm inventing some of it. If I got it too chaotic, it would take away from everything. But I think we're done with the vegetation there, and then we're going to move on over because there's an edge of a road here. So I'm going to just, I can't tell what any of that is. So I'm just going to suggest it with, a little squiggly line for where the grass is. Maybe add a little shadow in there to suggest that it's grass, and to give a pilot hole area. No rhyme or reason beyond what I've said. So there's the edge of the road there. And a couple of tufts of grass there. A little bit chaotic over here, so I may not add as much because it's off to the side. I think we'll be okay. I'm just doing generic grass tufts. Tufts. I don't know how to say it real clearly because that's how I roll. Now, I think I'm going to stop here when it comes to the tufts of grass out in the road. We'll be all right. Now we got to do this individuals over here. One of them's falling off his horse. And there's the inside of his hat. There's not a whole lot of detail I can add here. But I need to add a shadow that's not there so that you can do the outline of this cowboy hat. I'm actually struggling to figure out how I'm going to do that. But I'll just make it slightly thicker than it needs to be. But you know about pilot holes, Bill, so hopefully you can figure something out. I don't want to completely surround it, otherwise the hat would be a floater. Also, I just took the picture. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to glance at the email because I want to see what the color looks like. I don't see a picture of you. I only see the one. It just includes the close-ups you were talking about, but I don't see a picture of you there, Bill. Oh, wait. No, I don't see one. Okay. I will not show the picture out of respect. You actually look younger than I thought you looked, Bill, but I'll leave it there out of privacy. So yeah, give yourself some credit. You look younger than I thought you did. I look older than most people think I am, but so yeah, we'll go there. But yeah, appreciate your trust, sir. I will not betray it. That's not how I roll, no matter how much I joke. Okay, we gotta figure out this here. I don't know what the heck's going on over here. Oh, now I do. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with what I can see, but we know that this is a robber falling off his horse. That's probably one of his boots right there. And another boot right there. Not a whole lot of detail there. Oh, he said he sent two. Yeah, I saw the one with your picture in it. And the other one with the yeah, that might just be a delayed response. Okay. Now, we only know that this is a robber falling off of his horse because of the painting, but it may not translate well, but it might. I can tell he's wearing a vest, so that will break up some of that shadow there. But man, this is a little bit of a booger to do. I don't know how well that's going to look, buddy, but I'm doing my best. Okay, Russ, please don't be upset if it doesn't work. I mean, sometimes technology doesn't work with us. Not that you're a hothead. I'm just, I don't want to see you frustrated because I know you have fun here too. And when I see your thumbnail pop up, I'll let you in here. I almost forgot where I left off. Okay, so we know that's the horse's tail. Some of this, I don't know what it is. Okay. He's still trying to get here. I think he's here. It seems to be clear. I can only imagine.
Tell me what you think.
It's actually there. I can tell by the look on your face. You've been doing a lot of colorful language. No, it's clear. The timing is ever so slightly off. Yeah, well, I can just tell since you're not smiling and laughing like you usually do, but it's like a half of a millimeter of a second, lag. But I mean, it's very, very doable. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Russ Meadows. He tried to be here earlier, but by God, here he is. Mac Pierce says it's about time. Of course, you can see the comments.
Yeah.
Now, you want to wink at the folks before I take you off camera?
No, sir.
Okay.
With this long hair, it got to give me the wrong idea.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, plus you haven't even told your wife yet. I'm just kidding. Hardly on me. Well, you can say
don't go into that.
I'm not. I will tell you now, Russ, and I'm putting you on the spot. If I ever do like a weekly show again besides live streams, I do think I want you to be my co-host, but no pressure.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Now I can't do that for Team Scrollsaw because that's not just my show. But if I do a show of my own again on a weekly basis, not nightly, I would like you to be my co-host. And yes, I'm putting you on the spot because I want you to say yes, but you don't have to because I have no plans to do another show. But okay, so there's. And sorry for putting you on the spot like that. As far as all jokes aside,
Mac
okay.
Harris, you can give me a hard time if you want to, Mac, because I went over and rebooted the router and got me as good as you got me now. So hopefully it'll stay.
I'm glad it worked for your sake, even though I know you're not a hothead in general. I mean, to see you upset by technology, bums me out for you because we all know you're a happy-go-lucky fella.
I am.
By God, me too.
Now, Austin, man, now that was a heck of a comment.
I see.
It says he's cheap. You want me to blur it out.
That's funny right there. Well, we're good to see the old happy Russ here. By God, everybody Russ ain't happy. Ain't nobody happy.
Hey, oh, well, I don't know about that. I'm tickled pink. Everybody, hello.
Apparently, it sounded to me like he said he was wearing a pink leotard.
Not quite what I said.
Okay, just making sure. That's why it's a little off.
You got to stop doing that because people with this long hair, they think, well, you might be right. You're not.
If I joke enough, people go, my God, he's gay and he wants him to tell his wife. He's sitting it all over the internet. Oh, my God. It's a joke. Please, it is a dang joke. It really is. But somebody might start that rumor just to spite me because they love to get me in crap. But
well, that might get me pissed.
Well, hopefully not at me because I'm joking.
Yeah, but if that rumor got spread around, I would be pissed at the one that started it off.
Well, I would spread it around that it was an utter joke because somebody didn't have a sense of humor. But let's hope it doesn't go that far because, But heck, yeah.
It was Austin man that started that crap the other night. I see him. He's going up to it now.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm getting ready to get back. Charles started it.
Look at Mac. Mac says Charles started it, Russ.
Well, I started the whole joke. Never mind. I don't even want to go into it now. I'm afraid
I know you did. I heard part of it. How long is the hair now? It's not as long as it used to be.
They probably pulled some of it out. Oh, that's probably what Harney Media is getting at.
All right. You want to put me on the camera?
When did you cut it?
I haven't.
Oh.
But it's been a long time. I don't know if y'all can see it. I'm going the wrong stinking way.
I can see it.
It goes way over here.
I'm pretty sure that Harney Media was going off of the fact that you might have been pulling your hair out with frustration. But yeah.
Mine was almost to the buttocks when I cut it the first time. And believe it or not, I cut it as short as it was when I was in the Navy boot camp.
Good Lordy.
And that was a problem for me because that's not what I went in there for. And it still just did not stop cutting.
Dang, but that's not what I signed up for. My hair used to be as the long as yours is right now. That's the longest mine ever got, but I can't prove it.
Oh Lord, no! I could pull this. When I had it long before, it was a little bit more browner than it is now, but I could really pull it all the way down in the front.
By God.
And the back. So yeah, it was long. People at work ask me how long is too long. I said, well, I don't know. We ain't quite there yet.
If you step on it, it might be a little long there.
Might be.
I
wasn't stepping on it, but I almost sit on it.
Harney Media says I quit when it hit my belt. I didn't get quite that long.
Yeah, I was already at the belt level, past that, a little bit past that. Now, but that old gal, she was a young, pretty thing. She did such a good job on my wife's hair.
Uh-huh.
And I happened to jump up in the seat. I said, you want a twofer? Because there was a whole pile of people in there. Huh. And she grabbed that ponytail. She put them scissors on it. She said, last chance. I said, go ahead. And I had an idea what I was trying to tell her to cut it like. And the wife kept telling her, please stop cutting. Please stop cutting. He's going to be killing you. Please stop cutting. And when I saw what I had left, I said, holy mother of goodness.
Most wives are different. They want ink. cut the hair off. But
Well,
apparently
yeah,
she
she
knew
wanted
she
me
had
to have a
delivered it.
haircut. She don't like it long, but she saw right away that it was going to be something that was not pleasing to me,
Yeah, and she
and
knew
she
she'd
was
have to
right.
deal with it. Yeah.
And I told the girl, I gave her $5 tip for the wife, and because she did a good job on hers. I said, but I ain't giving you a stinking dime on mine because this ain't what I came in here for. And I never went back. That was at a Supercuts.
Well, I will say that when I started shaving my head, I don't have to pay anybody to do it because as long as I can find my head with a razor, I just go at it.
That's something I could not do because my hands would go backwards.
In the
Now, if
mirror,
I
yeah.
look in the mirror, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, when I shave my head, a lot of it's by feel, and I do have to occasionally get my wife to do behind my ears because I can't see back there. And I try to just do it by feel and go in rows, But yeah, I do miss spots.
Yeah. Wait a minute. What's Josh meaning by you're going to hurt the sensitive people?
Probably referring to uh, something we said offending people because based off of the crap I went through earlier on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
That was unbelievable. I was not even remotely prepared to deal with butthurt people.
Yeah. You just all you got to tell them you weren't body shaming. By God, you were scroll saw shaming.
I know, but the fact that the picture involved women and it looked like body shit, and I knew that could be perceived that way, is why I made it a point to say I wasn't doing that. But apparently, me bringing that up gave them the idea. Well, he's money.
Exactly the reason that you said it the way you said it is exactly the reason he said his the way he said it.
Exactly. Yeah.
He said it just like you said it, and that's was his point. But when he called you an idiot, now I tend to have a little problem with that.
Well, I get your point, but the fact that I was specifically pointing out that I was not body shaming. He says by me pointing that out, I was body shaming. I said, I know that was my way of saying I know it could be perceived that way, but it was not my intention. It was a dang joke about brand names. That's all it was.
That's it.
Yeah.
I understood that too, and like anybody else would that's in the scroll saw business.
Yeah.
But
good old.
Only reason I think he said that way is because when you tell somebody you're not saying it to be saying this, but you say it like that anyway, you're just saying it to say it.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah,
that's what he said.
My point was to not have a misperception of the humor I was intending. But yeah, it backfired, I guess.
Yeah, and that's why he said it just the same way you did it. And people were saying, "Well, hell, Butt Nugget did the same thing you did." What's wrong with him? But he did that on purpose. And I can see that he did that on purpose.
Well, his was also blatantly rude. Mine was about a picture. I wasn't. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He took it to the extreme, and that was ridiculous.
Well, that and you saw me killing him with kindness. I wasn't mad. I just, it's like, come on now, life's too short for this crap.
Only when you call him an a-hole.
Yeah. Well, he said I was an idiot. He said I'd rather be an idiot than an a-hole.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was me making light of it rather than getting upset. Now, Bill, as you can tell, we know we have almost nothing to work with here. I'm trying to add detail here, but you might be better off with a silhouette here. But I'm going to go ahead and trace what I see. And welcome back, Lawrence.
Now, Bill, when you cut this thing, you're going to color in the blue background and all that, like the sky blue part.
Well, he's talking about doing it out of a round, one of those.
Oh yeah, tree rounds.
So I don't know. I mean, he can answer that. Obviously, I just don't think he will. That's just me.
Well, if he's going to cut it like that with a scroll saw, he wouldn't be able to do anything with it like that. Now, if he routed it out, that'd be different. You could color the background, but that would be a job doing it on a tree round, I think.
Yes, sir.
With all
unless it's a really thin one, yeah.
I'd have to be real thin.
Some of this I'm doing just for my having a clue what a horse looks like, but some of it I'm just tracing what I see. This is a little bit of a booger back here, but I think he'll understand.
Yeah.
Because I can't see much of nothing. I'm glad you got your computer issue sorted out. I was feeling bad for you.
Yeah, I rebooted this computer and I went over to Brenda G's doing her a weekly uh, Facebook Live or YouTube channel. And I went to that to look and see in the chat, and it was still buffering.
Mm.
So I knew it's either me or the whole internet. So I went and looked at my wife's computer in the back room. She wasn't using the internet, so I had no choice. I called AT&T. Hey, man, get me fixed up. So they checked it.
And it was on their end?
Yeah. Said, well, he told me to reboot the modem. That's where they start first anyway.
Yeah, and that sometimes helps, yeah.
And evidently it's better than it was. So.
And I think regarding either the horse hair or the coloring of the background, he says, I'll make it up as I go, guys. That's
Yeah.
what most of the man's telling us.
Bill, how thick is the tree round that you're going to be using?
And while he's answering that, what I'm doing right now is doing the suggestion of the edges of the clouds. So we're almost done with the drawing portion.
I can really see those doggone wheels better now.
Yeah. Now this is for teaching other people. I imagine Bill knows this, but like when I'm suggesting the edges of the clouds, I'm going to add little areas where you can drill a pilot hole. Anywhere lines intersect on real thin lines is where you can do a pilot hole. Hardnail Media says that
it was buffering for everybody. I see it.
Brenda show, yeah. I hate when
yours was buffering for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think every about 30 seconds it was buffering, so I knew I had a bad connection of some type. And so hers was right next to yours on the YouTube page, so I clicked on that, and it was buffering just as bad. So I went and called them and started the process. So hopefully it stays a while.
The sweet side we see of you, AT&T, may have gotten to see the other side.
No, actually, I was talking to one of them robots. You have to first they confirm who you are, then they have to, well, let me find out what the problem is, and so I can see if I can help you.
There's an outage in your area. Sucks to be you. Thank you. Thank you. Come in.
I wish I'd have said it like that, but I can't.
And I think y'all will see, especially once I pull the paper off, you'll see how we're suggesting the edge of the clouds. Because I am telling you, and it looks good in some pictures, but yeah, if you cut out the sky completely, it'll look like nighttime. But some people like that look. Yeah, Josh Grover says, AT&T saw the red butt, Russ.
No, not quite, because if it had been a human, he might have seen it.
Yeah, well, I'm one of these, and I'm not saying you wouldn't, but I'm one of those people that I try not to take it out on who's on the phone because I know they're not really in control of it. If they're an idiot, I might somewhat go to take it out on them, but
it tell you the truth, I don't, but it depends on the circumstances.
Yeah,
I try not to let that come out.
Yeah, I try to avoid it too because I'm not a butthead by nature. But if they're being rude to me or dismissive, then I get a little upset. But it's like I've never been one of those people getting upset with a cashier that's having trouble. People learn they're in training, stuff like that. Right. Life's too short to be a rude customer. That's why
I don't have any problems with that. That's different. But you come in the store with a case of the red. You know what? Already you come in mad. Then something happens. But people are training. I understand that.
Yeah. I hate seeing somebody be rude to a cashier because a cashier is probably more mortified than you are that it's not going well. That kind of stuff. That's why I feel bad for people like that. And Mac Pierce being a butt nugget says Cyril's at County.
I see that. She's probably kind of like a rabbit. It ain't Penelope.
Okay, you want a dang rabbit? Let's do a dang rabbit. Bill can decide if he wants to add that in there, but yeah, there's your rabbit. I'm pretty sure Bill won't add that in there, but if he does, that's Bill for you. But leave it to me to give him the option, by God. Now, some of these cutouts at the top, we can make a cutout because it's not very significant. But we're breaking it up, but I guarantee you a lot of this will pop more so in the pattern than it is on the painting here. because we are winging it so much with lights and darks.
Bill said, sorry if he's slow on the chat because he's watching you full screen so he can see the lines you're drawing.
Oh, not a problem. I get that. But a lot of this will pop when it's colored in.
Yeah.
But it may actually look better once I pull the picture off here. Okay, this cloud line I can make go right into the main up here. And we're almost done, by God, with this part. And we don't want to completely surround that, otherwise, that'll be a cutout. But we want to just suggest the shape of it, and I'm going to break it up there, or do a little pilot hole here, break it up here, and just add a little bit from there. We can do this little bitty hole in the cloud because that won't kill it. And Mac Bear says, we thought it was because you're upside down, Bill. Little Australia reference there, I'll tell you what. We are so close to done, it hurts as far as the drawing portion. I felt so bad for you yesterday. It's like you couldn't even get a word in edgewise. I know there's worse problems to have, but I was like, it got a little chaotic, and I know it did. It's hard to put the brakes on it when you're trying to be polite to whoever's on there. It's like,
Yeah. Well, I had told you previously that the wife was going to have to come in and do some work, and I didn't really know how much time I had, and I had a feeling she was coming. And
well, I felt like the chaos added to the timeline of you leaving, though.
No, it's just that I kept waiting for one of you to take a damn breath.
Yeah,
so I could jump in real quick.
I know. I felt so bad. Josh Grover says, "Will you clean this pattern up on the computer while on live feed?" Yes, sir, I will, because I know some people want to see that. Because that's when it really pops us, because that helps us determine whether or not the pattern is a success. Yesterday wasn't a complete failure, but you saw that I was human, and some people don't know that I'm human. It is debatable.
No, but that's why I put it in the chat. That's the first thing that popped in my head. At least I can put it in the chat.
Yeah,
and maybe they'll see it.
Luckily, I thought to look there, but yeah, I liked the guy, and it was good to reconnect. But yeah, professionalism, so to speak, for lack of a better word, is why I was apologizing to people. I know, there's worse reasons to be upset, but yeah, I felt bad because it got a little chaotic there, and you being one of my closest friends, it bothered me that it happened. But we've healed. You're here.
Well, if you check your phone later on, you'll find you had a missed call from me. I did not leave you a message just a few minutes ago.
Really?
Yeah, because of Bill saying he sent you some pictures that showed a close-up view of it.
Yeah, I see it.
And I was telling you, I was going to tell you to check your emails because you hadn't saw it when he said it.
Yeah, but I also knew he said he was trying to help with the close-ups, but having the pictures here on my I appreciate you trying, by the way. Having the pictures here on my computer on that Paint Shop Pro program, I zoomed in on it earlier, and that's how I zoom in. So I know what he was trying to help, but I knew that we still had to work with what we had to work with. I think we're done with the drawing portion, but let me check a little more. Okay, we got a little bit back here I didn't add, but that's not much. Go ahead.
I really like how you did the prickly pears, I guess you called it.
Well, thank you. Yes, sir. I don't know what
couldn't even see that earlier. All I could saw was it looked like foggy, and there was a different color of the dust and stuff.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell what it was, but it makes it look a lot different now that you got it drawn out some.
Yeah. Also, now this here, just to let people know, I didn't mean to dismiss what you just said. I'm just multi-thinking, and I don't do that well. That's just a little dust being kicked up back there. Now we are going to pull the paper up, and we will see the drawn portion, but don't worry, the live stream is not over. So if you're not bored enough, stick around. I am going to do the computer portion, and we will share screens when I do that. But I actually believe, due to all the chaos, it could look better on just the outlined version, but we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're seeing all the lights and darks and the confusion, but it may be just as confusing when I pull the paper off. But we will color it in here on the live stream.
When you color it in, I think people are going to be amazed at actually what it turned out looking like.
And that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I hoped for yesterday, but apparently that shadow under my pointer finger really made a difference because my finger looked like it was 20 pounds big. I'm keeping this in case I forgot to trace something. Usually I'll rip it up and put it in the trash, but just in case. I can usually get about 2 uses out of each one of these pieces of tape. You know, painter's tape ain't cheap. I don't know. I never understood why it's so expensive, but yeah.
Yeah, I use that too when I'm doing a small project on the CNC. I use it to hold it down. So I go through some myself.
I'm trying to decide if I want y'all to see this. As long as I'm happy, right?
Oh, Lord.
A little bit chaotic, but once we color it in, it should be all right.
I believe you'll be good.
I hope so. Josh Gerber says, okay, cool. I'll have to stay tuned to see how it's done. Well, if that's what it takes to get you to stay tuned, I'm glad I'm doing it. Okay, we do want to scan it in. Let me share screens. That is tomorrow's, or even potentially later tonight. I don't know. It depends on how awake I am. But this is going to be the next live stream pattern one. And this is the source photo. When I talked about zooming in, the pictures he sent me were basically what I would have done by using this magnifier glass. So you can see I didn't have much detail to work with. And as far as you could tell, this guy had a mustache, but I couldn't make that out when I was drawing it. So, you know, and I could tell this guy had a bushy mustache. So that's little things like that. You can kind of see it, but it's still hard to make it translate. Now, this is the guy's head here, his legs right here. I don't know what this is, that golden area. I know that's his hat, and that's falling off his horse. Oh,
I can see what that is.
That's what a stirrup. That's a stirrup.
A stirrup.
Yeah, there's one on the other side. I didn't know that was a
stirrup. He's flipped over.
Yeah, he's flipped over. Okay, I didn't know that was a stirrup in the picture, but now I know. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we're going to scan the picture. So it'll be fun to see how this goes.
Who's the dog? Just a random dog?
Well, I want to make sure I have permission to say the person's name before I say it, but it is a Facebooker. Okay. I saw the picture, so man, that would make a beautiful pattern. Hope they'll let me use it. And I asked, and she said yes. I don't know yet whether or not I'm allowed to sell it. And I don't want to scan until I actually get it in the scanner because that would be stupid. I've done that before.
I have too. I've scanned a blank thing and then nothing in it.
Yeah.
Well, that came out good.
I scan all my patterns in, even whether they're one sheet or two. I scan them in at 300 dpi. And if you ever start making patterns and get them into a catalog, they will require you to do it at 300 dpi.
Right.
Okay, we're going to scan that puppy. Well, not puppy, it's actually a Stagecoach. And I do it in grayscale because the off-color thing, or off-white, and then anybody that doesn't understand that, I'll explain it as I'm doing it. You still got the scans from yesterday and another pattern I was working on. All right, so we're doing the computer portion now. Don't worry, right now it's sideways. Bear with me. I think that dog one's going to turn out beautifully, I hope.
Mm-hmm.
But it's technically, for me, it's kind of early in the night, so I hate to, once this is done, I hate to not have another live stream, but, you know, it could also get pretty late, too.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to turn it to the right. Now this is right side up. And the first thing I'm going to do is crop it. As you can tell right here that that's the edge of the picture. And we want to crop it so we don't have any areas broken up. Necessarily, sometimes I still have to fix it. And that is that is 1/4 of the size of the actual pattern if we're going by, you know, how big is that? That's the only way I know to say it.
Right.
Okay, and then this isn't about the program, but I will explain it. Go ahead. I heard you breathe like you're about to talk.
Yeah, Bill said it looks good, but we'll tell best when I have it. He'll
Yeah.
be able to tell best when he colors it in.
Yeah. So what I'm doing right now, now this isn't about the program, but I'm explaining what I'm doing. This thing I'm about to use is called color replacer. The color I want the lines to be is this one right here that cancel, that I just selected, and you'll see over here that it's that color. And I'm going to go in with the little medicine dropper, eyedropper thing, and I'm going to right click, and that will make the square over here turn into the whatever color, which might be about the same, a little bit lighter. So I'm replacing the color on the bottom with the color on top. You don't have to include that rabbit. Ask Bill, does he want me to leave that on there for humor's sake, or does he want me to take it off? I guess he can leave it out. But yeah, the other people, that's Penelope. I'm doing the color replacer right now, and crap, it's not even showing up. That's not, okay, good. This is a very old program. I just move it from computer to computer. Right now I'm color replacing to make all the lines the same color. Unless I scan too quick with my mouse.
Max says you got to keep Penelope. We have to see what Bill says about that.
I'm pretty sure Bill won't include it in the cutting, but if he does it for himself, he may do it just because he said he doesn't sell this.
He said, "Lose the damn rabbit."
Lose the damn rabbit. Okay. And I thought we were homies. That's funny right there. But leave it to me to throw that rabbit in there because that's how we roll.
It was worth a shot.
Yeah.
I thought Penelope was going to be famous.
Yeah, well, she is in a way.
Somewhat.
Okay, there's your Penelope, and we'll take Penelope out of there. Delete. Whoops. Wait, don't like that color. And Penelope is gone. It's durable. Okay, we want to go back to that gray.
Josh is asking what program this is. Was that Paint Shop 4?
Paint Shop Pro 4.
4.
They don't even make that version anymore. They make Paint Shop Pro, but not this old.
No.
I'm already seeing areas. Y'all want to know what I talk about when I say I'm cleaning up one area? Well, let me go ahead and get with white over here. We want complete white. And the reason why we scanned it in at 30 below on contrast is because the off-white will tell us where all the lines are connected where they need to be. So if we see an off-white area, I'll know, but I'll be able to color it in, if that makes any sense. But like right here as an example, you obviously can't cut that. So what I would do is make that line wider. And I do miss that sometimes, but this will make it a more clean cut. And go a little bit wider. It's up to Bill how wide he wants to take it. But yeah, you saw how chaotic it was in there, or for lack of a better word, I use that chaotic word a lot. So yeah, I mean, little stuff like that. This is where I changed my mind on the thing because the spokes weren't close enough together. So that's just going to be a wider opening, however he wants to deal with that. The little stuff like this can be ignored. That would just be, the fact that I was hand drawing it. And so there's stuff like that I will need to clean up. But we're going to fill it in with bright white, the whitest you can go. And wherever it's off white, that'll tell us what's going to be cut out. It may still need to be cleaned up, but we'll see. And boom. It doesn't really stick out that much. But once I start coloring it in, it will pop. Now, any area that's supposed to, okay, you can see it close up. This area is shaded in. That means there's no breaks in the line. This one has a break in the line right there. That's how we know. That's why I do the off-white color, so that people will know how I determine where I need to fix a line.
Oh, so when you have that full scale where where you're not sucked in close, you have it drawn out, where we're seeing the whole image, it's a little hard for me to tell which one's off-white, which one's not white.
That's why I zoomed in, because it's kind of hard to tell. The main reason being me explaining why I scan it rather than just straight up black and white. I scan it slightly less bright than the original so that I can see the off color in order to color it in. That was just trial and error as I went. I'm just quickly coloring in certain areas. But at some point I'll do the color replacer. There's a break in the glass here. Not glass, grass. That's why that was white. And I'm just very quickly doing some of this, but I'll use the color replacer at some point. Whoops.
No, that no, I don't want to do that one.
Well, that thing right there was in my way. I didn't know. I need to connect some lines down at the bottom. That won't take long at all. That's off white, so we know it's good. This one's broken. Well, one thing about the older version of Paint Shop Pro is you can only edit undo one time. So if you don't save it, and you have to start all over.
Oh no.
If I accidentally double click, which I've done, then because once I go past the step I wanted to undo, if I go past it with one single click, I can't undo it. So here shortly I will save it just for the sake of saving it, but then we're not done. This means I cropped it a little low on the bottom, but that's all right. Or I just didn't draw it good enough off the edge. I'm gonna go ahead and save and call it Bill. Just kidding. Now I'm particularly annoyed by little specks like this. Obviously, it's okay for them to be there, but I'd like to get little specks out that I can see because they annoy me. Kind of like people that get butthurt over a joke. Gonna go down the side, make sure there's no. Well, there's a little bit of a break there. So we can color that in with lines and a little annoying speck. See, that's how it looks zoomed in real close. That's obviously an ugly looking horse, but this is that little teeny tiny, horse that was in the background. This was the smallest piece of detail in the whole thing. Is that horse? But yeah, that's the horse that was on the far back. Okay. Now this is not going to be colored in, Bill. I mean, if you want to cut it out, you can, but this is one of those intersecting line things I was telling you about. This is where the clouds go off the edge. And
You see Daniel Davis is back in the house.
hello, Danielle. I accidentally said Danielle. But yeah, you can see where I didn't do the color replacer right. I'm just clicking there and it fills it in. And this little point is annoying me, even though I know he would know to ignore it. Yeah, there's that. So I'm just scanning around the edge to make sure everything that goes off the edge is off the edge. And that off-white color lets us know that it's done, but there's one there that's not. So that's why I zoom in. And there's no doubt in my mind we'll probably have a couple areas inside the pattern rather than around the perimeter that I need to color replace, but we'll see. Well, that's the chest on the top of the Stagecoach. Make that gap a little more. Blah, blah, blah. Go down the left side. I'm getting rid of little lines that were the pen dragging. I don't even need to do that, but I'm doing it because I just want to be somewhat consistent with cleanliness. That didn't get completely traced, so there's that.
Mark Lindsay's in the house.
What up, Mark?
He said, "Hey, you kids, get away from that scroll saw."
Oh, God, that's a safe tool, mister.
From chat.
That's funny right there. Okay, this is where I was saying I wanted to make the bridge of the horse's snout, but he can take that off if he doesn't like that line. But just felt like I needed to add there. And this is that cowboy that was partially covered by dust. As you can see up close, some of this is pretty chaotic, but trying to make that wheel look round, not like it's wobbly. That's because of working with a pen and not, perfect curve. And I think that's going to work. I'll do the same thing to the outside edge. I don't always, sometimes I mess up this step, so if y'all ever wonder why is that line so wiggly, it's because I don't see everything and I'm human, sorry. Clean it up and make it a more uniform line, because there's a good Stagecoach doesn't have wobbly wheels.
Looks like John's back in the house. He had to do some rewiring of his lights.
10-4. All right, now that's when I added the line that wasn't there, so I'm cleaning up that curve. Welcome back, John. Because I think we've gone around the perimeter. Now we're looking for areas that are a little crowded and little details, but this is how my attempt to clean it up. Like this area right here, we know that didn't need to be there, or I knew that because I just got sloppy with the pen. I'm just looking for crowded areas, and then we'll look for white areas all over. That's why I'm scanning up and down somewhat quickly. And I didn't color those in after I did the color replacer, so let me do that.
Well, Daniel, you have a movie right here.
Was he leaving to watch a movie? He is not. Are you not entertained? I'm kidding. Appreciate you being here, sir. I'm just quickly scanning, looking for crowded areas and things I want to clean up a little bit. I'll make that line a little more the same width all the way across, a little more. Don't need the speck. Kind of clean up the wagon footrest line. Keep calling it a wagon. It's a Stagecoach, but you know what I mean. Come on now.
Yeah. We're all right.
Yes, sir. This is where I was talking about the chaotic look of the rains going through the dark areas. So I want to somewhat make that more uniform. This is very crowded right here, so we're just gonna break it up. Doing a real quick scan. Yeah, that's the cowboy that was in the back. You really couldn't see much, but you can tell he's wearing a hat and his face is covered by shadow. Just a real quick scan. See, that's an example of a break in the line. That's why we're looking for white. And the rest of this here shortly, we'll just go with the color replacer. And yeah, let's see. Okay, move over a little bit and we'll come back down. Do the same old thing. Now I'm not coloring that in because we're suggesting the clouds, not coloring the sky in. So, but I'm going to clean up a little bit of that. Okay, that's something I did not finish tracing the air, so that area needs to be colored in. And the more we color in, the more this piece will pop, and hopefully it'll pop in a favorable direction. Okay. And that one got a little crowded there. And by the way, Bill, my PayPal email address is the same as the one you wrote to, so that's where you would be sending payment through, which you may have already done. See, this is an area that wasn't supposed to be crowded like that, so I'm cleaning that up. 9 times out of 10, I require payment before I start a pattern, but I knew since this was public, Bill wasn't going to burn me. But yeah, my email address, my everyday email address, is also my PayPal email address. Anyone wants to empty their credit cards on there. Just kidding. Unless you took me seriously. If you want to, I'm not going to stop you. Okay.
Mark asked you a question. He said, "Did you ever finish the pattern, take a step back and to look at it, and then say, what did I just draw?"
Look at yesterday's live stream. I'm partially serious. That I made some mistakes. It's not done yet because I got a lot more cleaning up to do. But yeah, that happened yesterday. Some win, some lose. Again, I'm not covering it. I'm not coloring in any of these areas in the clouds because we want to suggest the clouds. Unless you wanted the sky behind it to be cut out, then yeah, That's what we're doing here.
Aussie's got a question.
Yes, sir.
That it has the hand shooting out the window got enough detail in it to see that it's a gun.
Well, that's what I saw, but I could try to shape the pistol grip part more like a pistol, if it's even a pistol. Yeah, that's the best I can do as far as telling it's a gun. I mean, that's his arm, that's the holster, his hands partially on the gun, and there's the barrel. I can't answer for you whether or not it looks like it, but that's my
You
attempt at
can
showing
make
it.
out almost the gun stock behind his hand.
Yeah,
And you can make that out with that line coming down.
yeah, hopefully.
I can.
Okay, now I'm gonna do the color replacer. Now that we've colored in everything. Now this is gonna be a little sensitive. It starts out with a very light tolerance, but the more I color it in, the more everything will pop and hopefully look the way everybody wants it to look. Oops, that's a little too. Let me go ahead and save this real quick. A little too sensitive, so I almost went completely white there. Let me find it a little darker area.
Your buddy from last night said last night you were all about being ugly on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the more levels of tolerance I go through, because right now I'm changing one color to that gray. So as I sleep across it, I'll get darker and darker, and then we'll see it colored in. But it's going to start popping here shortly. Hopefully, I can't speak for anybody else's opinion other than my own. But so far, I'm happier with this one than I was last night's because it was me and I wasn't pretty enough, and I had a fat finger. Some of this may translate well into the pattern form. Some of it may not have. The fact that we didn't color in the sky around the clouds. But hopefully you can tell it's clouds. But there again, if you do the opposite and cut out the sky, it could look like nighttime. But and the fact that this piece was or this picture was blurry and small didn't help matters. But let me try a tolerance of 15 here. Yeah, this is almost completely colored in now. It'll be darker, but it's not completely done. I should probably have that in view while we're doing this. But. Doing the sky like that is a gamble because, if you try to color in that sky, it could totally add too much darkness, but it's not up to me to decide. Well, to a degree it was, but yeah.
Right.
Just make sure I didn't miss any spots, and I'm going to come back, zoom in, and go with a, this one's almost white. So very low tolerance. I'll fill in some of it. Oops. I can only do one number lower, but that doesn't work, then I'll just have to take it.
Mark Lindsay says, hey, Russ, we could V-carve that. I say, yes, we could. And it would look good, too.
Unfortunately, to get this design, you would either have to get Bill's permission or pay just as much as he did. Otherwise, I know. Yeah, I know. I'm just generalizing for anybody listening. It's a neat pattern, but I can't sell it. But, and I'm okay with that because that's the beauty of custom work. And some of this involves zooming in when we get more and more done. But if that's white, then I'll have to despeckle it, and I'll explain that too. Yeah, that's completely white. So I'm going to go with the darker color here and do a little higher tolerance. Yeah, As far as the color replacer, I can't use decimals or half numbers or negative numbers. So there's that. But we'll have a way to get rid of those white specks here in a second here. Now, Bill, if you want me to copy this and make a version of it with the sky cut out, we can do that. It'll add a little more time, but I don't mind doing it because it's got to be what you want to see.
He says, please don't be upset, but I might remove a couple of clouds to make the coach stand out more. Hard to tell yet, but you don't know.
Yeah, then that's what I meant by the chaotic. I don't mind that at all, Bill. Whatever makes you like it more. I just hope. I feel confident that you know what I was going for by going with the detail that was in the picture. But yeah, I don't mind at all. I won't be upset at all if you alter anything about it, because I want you to like it. Okay, now being that we have white specks, and we want part of it to be white, because if you use the medicine dropper right over here, you'll see that when it's 255 all the way up and down. Look at the numbers here, and we know it's pure white. So, and we want some of the pure white to be there. So what I'm going to do here, and don't let me go ahead and save it real quick. I'm going to fill it in with black in the white areas, so that any other specks I can despeckle the piece, and that's how we'll do that. See how you see the white specks? So I'm going to do the color replacer again, turning those white specks into that gray, and that's how we get rid of those specks. Gray, and that'll clean it right up as far as specks go. Yeah, I'm not offended in any way, Bill, because anytime I send a pattern to somebody, if they, I know that I was going off what I could see and the detail in the piece, but yeah, some things work, some things don't. Without some of those clouds, it'll be a lot less chaotic. So I get that 100%. No judgment here. Now I'm going to change the black back into white, and then that will make the pattern be done minus whatever changes Bill wants to make. But yeah, I get it with all those clouds in there. In a painting, you have the colors to distinguish them, but here you only have gray and white. So I get that. Some things are going to look a little crowded. And as far as designing a pattern from a photo, this one is done, Bill. If anybody wants me to start another live stream, if enough people want that, I will start another live stream to do the dog here. It's up to y'all. I'm still wide awake. But Bill, I hope this pattern works for you. Again, I don't mind any changes you make, because it's not up to me once you have the pattern. Any lines having to do with clouds that you want to take out, by God, feel free. But I hope overall that you're happy with the transition here.
Have you saved it since you did the changes just now?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you see the lines go across the bottom here,
yeah.
That's me saving it.
Okay.
So that is what we're working with. And as far as if I'm just doing an example here, let's say this was a pattern I was doing for sale. This is where I would do the thumbnail version. This is another thing when I'm showing people how a pattern will look. I imitate wood grain in there just to give them a vague idea. And this is for the border portion. And I'm going to throw the wood grain in there. And the piece is horizontal, so we're going to use horizontal wood grain. And this is just to show how I display things online where I'm doing patterns for sale. This one is not for sale, unless people want to say pay $75 for it, which I don't think the average person will, but when it's a custom pattern, people understand that. And we're going to change the gray to black, and then add the wood grain. Sometimes this helps actually people visualize things too, luckily. And let's use one of the lighter colors in that wood grain to. Da-da-da-da.
And there you are.
And then I lightly soften it to, believe it or not, it actually makes it look slightly more realistic when I soften it. So there's the thumbnail, Bill. I usually call it WD. So there is the original source photo and my attempt at a pattern. So I hope that worked for everybody. Did we get any feedback on whether or not anybody wants me to start another live stream for the dog?
Not yet.
Okay.
Mark Lindsay did say the look on the dog's face means please drop that piece of bacon.
Yeah. That's funny right there. So, Bill, I'm not going to commit you to say it on this live stream, but I hope you're okay with it. I can see why you want to get rid of some of those cloud lines because it does crowd it a little bit. I'll let you decide which lines you want to remove, but I know that I was going off of what I could see. So I'm pretty confident you're not upset with me or disappointed. But yes, I do still do custom patterns. This is to everybody. I start at 50. It does go higher with detail and dealing with blurs and blah, 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 blah. But that is something I still do. Even when I stopped selling patterns, I was still doing that. And then I took a break from that, and now we're back. So I hope people found some value in here. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I do have other themes of downloadable instructional videos on woodenvision.com. There's a couple with horse themes, and that this is, an activity scene, but this is about, a horse and baby eating in a field type thing. And I have one for basic portrait, one for facial hair, one for short-haired animals, and one for vehicles. I think I was just as thorough, but less of a train wreck in those videos because I'm only by myself. I'm not trying to entertain an audience, but so there's that. Bill, I hope this works for you, and let me stop sharing.
He said just get with him and set it up how to transfer it.
I don't know what he means by how to transfer it.
How to arrange everything.
Oh.
So he can get it.
Oh, I'll email it to you, Bill.
Right.
I'll do that as soon as I could do that right now if I wanted to. I don't mind doing the dog. We can do the.
Yeah, several out there are asking about the dog stream.
Okay, so I will do the dog stream, but for the sake of the fact that I titled it and thumbnailed it and everything, to make YouTube less chaotic, I will end this live stream, but I'll schedule another one immediately. But StreamYard makes you wait 10 to 15 minutes, or because of Facebook being one of the areas it goes to, it has to be 10 or 15 minutes away from when I'm scheduling it. So it will be approximately 10 to 15 minutes from the time I end the stream. But I also have to email Aussie Man this pattern and coordinate the PayPal aspect of paying for the custom pattern. But I should be back 20 minutes tops, unless I fall over dead, which hopefully all of us hope doesn't happen.
Right on.
But appreciate y'all that came in late. I will, or in fact, be back within 15, 20 minutes from the time I say scroll on. Drink time, Mark. Yeah, let's all take a drink, celebrate. And I feel like this one went better than yesterday's, only because yesterday's, yeah.
Okay.
You don't have. It's only bye for now, Lawrence. I will be back tonight within 10, 15 minutes, somewhere in there. It all depends how quickly I email and coordinate bullcrap. But we all gonna do is print it out, and by God, we'll do it. And y'all see every bit of the process. I won't leave a thing out because not everybody watches every one of these live streams from start to finish. So we're gonna do that. But sit by your computer if you don't want to miss anything. Look for Facebook notifications as well as YouTube. I hope you'll subscribe. Click on that bell to be notified. But the dog should turn out pretty decent because it's a large photograph and it's clearly focused and close up. So,
Aussie Man sent you a message. You said just send him a PayPal invoice.
okay, I'll try that. It's been a while since I've created an invoice, but I will see if I can use both my brain cells and do that. And yeah, Harnell Media says it's intermission.
Yeah.
Everybody fill up your drinks, get all your cigarettes ready, or whatever it is you're partaking, and I will be back. But I don't want to forget anything. I hope y'all will subscribe. Wouldn't be bothered by the thumbs up neither, but it doesn't affect YouTube whatever algorithms. But yeah, it shows appreciation. That's always nice. So I hope y'all will subscribe if you're not already, and click that thumbs up, that bell, and you will be notified when I'm going live or when it's been scheduled. And by God, I will see y'all again. But in the meantime, I'm gonna let old Russ say it here. Russ, what's the magic words we're looking for? And you got to do the point.
Scroll on.